I mean, it's all,
Yeah, we're live. We're live already.
I'm live already, and I'm always relaxed, Stephen.
You're always relaxed. Hey, everyone. Stephen Glicker here, Roll for Combat publisher, along with my good friend, pal, buddy, chum, who has been doing nothing but streaming because he obviously has nothing else to do. He has no friends. He has no family. He only has you, the audience.
That is crazily accurate. That is...
I know you well.
Well, you know, it's more like, again, you know, I mean, my friends all have their kids. I don't have kids, so all my friends had their kids, and I did a bunch of traveling. I went to Vegas at the beginning of December.
That's right.
So I didn't have any things planned, and then, you know, my family's pretty small, and you know, kind of not really like super like, people are coming in from out of town. Everyone kind of lives here, so we see each other all the time anyway. So it's not like a really big deal. So yeah. Basically had the week off and streamed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
there you go. Kept going. And I was let's before we get into this, Happy New Year, everyone. Wanted to start off the new year with the stream because I was on vacation. I was out. I was gone.
You were somewhere far away, yes?
I was in Colombia.
Nice.
I go to weird places. I've been to Cuba. That was a very interesting vacation. And then Colombia basically was what Cuba would have looked like if it didn't go communist, because it was very similar architecture and style. And we went to Cartagena in Colombia for a week, and it was
good board game.
Hot as hell. Hot as hell. Oh my God, was it hot?
I've been to Argentina. I have been to Uruguay, Paraguay, and I spent like a couple days in Brazil. But
yeah, know what it's like.
that is where I have been in South America. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a beautiful country. I barely speak Spanish, so like which is saying that's like the language I'm second best at, as opposed to, you know, going somewhere else.
You want to hear this? I, of course, don't speak Spanish. My wife doesn't speak Spanish.
Oh, okay.
My kids were practically fluent in the damn languages, both of them. You think they helped me once the whole trip? You think they ever helped? You think they ever said anything? You think they spoke anything? You think they told me what anyone was talking about? Nope.
Love it.
So like they're like, we don't want to use it. I'm like, you speak Spanish. They're like, yeah. And every so often they'd like throw me a pity like look and say, he said this. I'm like, okay, thank you. And oh God, it was so annoying.
Oh, that's so good.
I know. I'm like, those damn ingrates, damn kids. but
yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I'm glad you certainly deserve of course, you did not rest on your laurels very long, because you got back and basically got straight back to work, it seems.
I put out 4 books today and 3 Foundry modules.
2024, baby. It's coming.
I know. We put out, you can get it now. It says right there, Year of Legends. If you go to battlezoo.com, you can play an angel. So we got the angels out. And those who were backers of the Kickstarter, we sent out to the legendaries, which was like early backer, like the top level. They get everything a little early. We sent out Devils, and they get to see what Devils looks like. And so people already started off. It went out at midnight. So it's like midnight, boom, angels. So you start off your new year right away.
Yeah, so I mean, it is the Year of Legends, so it is 2024. So I would be watching my watch, like, what's going on?
Yeah. No, this is going to be the year. How's everyone else doing? We decided. I figured I can only do this for so long, and I couldn't wait till Wednesday. On Wednesday, just so everyone knows, I'm gonna have Justin Alexander on the show, who wrote this wonderful book, and he
almost finished. I'm almost finished with it.
I was gonna bring it with me, but it's so big. I couldn't.
It's very thin.
I couldn't fit it in my bag, and it probably would have melted in the Colombian heat. By the way,
my problem, and again, this is not I think the book is excellent. My problem with the book, for me reading it, is I have been reading Justin Alexander's blog for a million years.
Yeah,
so a lot of the stuff that he talks about in his book, rightfully so, is sort of a re-edited, sort of cleaned up version of a lot of his best articles. And secondly, rightfully so, it is aimed at the neophyte game master. And so a lot of the things that he is talking about his first principles, I've been doing for 30 years. So it's kind of like, so I'm trying to put myself into the mindset of, reading it more as a reviewer rather than, but that being said, despite all that, there are a couple of things where I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. That's a clean, So I don't think that a seasoned veteran is going to get quite as much out of the book, but even I picked up a few, tips and tricks. And that is someone who has pretty much read every single article he's ever posted. And also obviously he's been GMing for a long time. So I think it's an excellent book. He did a fantastic job. That book and the Keith, I mean, obviously I love like the John Peterson books, but in terms of like novel, like how to game master books, those books, and actually the books by, what is his name? Keith Amon, How to Defend Your Lair, or How to
I know those.
Kill All the PCs or whatever. How to be the one. I think those books are all very excellent.
I actually, you're not going to believe this because you can't even find it. And I want to reread it, but there's a book that I actually liked a lot, which is, you're not even going to believe it. The Dummies Guide to Dungeons and Dragons. Remember those books?
Oh, yeah.
You probably have it. It's not bad. I was kind of surprised because the person who wrote it, oh, you have it.
Wait one.
Oh boy, of course he does. That's a great shot of his butt and lower back, everyone. There we go. That's for the ladies. Or the men. I make no judgments. Or the other people. Oh god, he has it. D&D for Dummies.
I read.
I have it. I definitely have it. I don't have it in my office.
Wait.
Okay.
D&D for Dummies.
Oh my god, he has got every version. Dungeon Master. That one's good. I have that too. Those are good books.
Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition for Dummies.
I have all of those. Oh my god. What do we start the year?
I buy everything.
By the way, when you were lifting up your shirt and everyone got to see your lower back and butt, we're all like, Derik fan service, only here. There we go.
Yes, exactly.
No, you know what? Because the person who wrote those books, and those books are old, so it wasn't like today where there's a lot of stuff out there. That person loved D&D, and they got it. It's like written by a fan for fans. I thought it was very well done.
The Dungeon Master one is written by Bill Slavicsek.
Oh yeah,
and Richard Baker.
Oh my god, yeah.
So like
yeah, of course. But they're fun. They're fun books, and they're like talking to a friend reading those books.
Yeah. So I think they're, again, excellent. They're probably a little bit out of date. They're probably for like 3rd edition D&D. Mm-hmm. Yeah, judging by the cover art, looks like it's 3rd edition D&D. Yeah. But it comes with a map and like a mini adventure, and
it has a lot of tips and tricks, and it has a lot of charts and callouts. I always actually, people, those 4 dummy books, they were actually pretty good, because the layouts are good, the information was good.
If there is a new topic that I want to learn, okay, like if I'm like when I was like, okay, I'm going to teach myself how to sail, or I'm going to teach myself how to knit, or I'm going to teach myself more about rock climbing. Sure, I'll eventually get some, real book. But I almost always start with the Dummies book because I love having that foundation of just awareness of all the principles before I get too deep into the weeds. Mm-hmm. I think they're good. Obviously the authors vary from, book to book, but overall, I think they're great books.
Yeah, I actually, what other books are there like that? Because see, now
there's the Idiot's Guides, but they're not.
The Idiot's Guides. I forgot about those. We have this one now, so you want to be a game master, which is, but the thing is, I agree this book is really good. Professor DM, he read this whole book in one day. That's how much he loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, this is a big book. This book is like 544 pages.
It is well worth your money. I think it's a great book. Pick it up. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on book. I bought mine, I think, at Barnes and Noble. So,
I went to Barnes and Noble and they redid it, and it was brand new. They just opened up the Barnes and Noble near me, and it was the cleanest. Like, you go to the manga section, and they had 1 through 10 of everything instead of having like 5, 8, 12. It's like it was like every number, every book, everything was there. I was like, oh, this is what it must look like in the birth of a Barnes and Noble.
Have I told you my Barnes and Noble story about books?
Nope, probably not.
So,
I don't know.
I can't remember. I go to Barnes & Noble a lot. I've been a member for a long time. I bought a lot of books. And I remember I was up there one time and I was in the RPG section and then I was checking out and I noticed that all the D&D books were fake. And I went to the checkout line and I kind of know,
I have heard the story, but you can keep going.
Yeah. And I go, I see all the books are on the back shelf and I go, why are the D&D, by the way, not the Pathfinder books, not the Cobalt Press books, not just like the D&D 5e black and red books. And I go, why do you guys have these back here? And they said, you know what? It's actually the D&D books are our second most stolen item in the store.
Yeah.
And I said, really? He goes, yeah. I was like, wow, what's number one? And they go, Bibles.
I have heard that story because I remember that punchline.
And I was like, I didn't have anything to say at that point, but I was just like, oh, yeah. Even the clerk was kind of like, Bibles, just real. What are you gonna do?
Like, and you know what? They do call it the D&D Bible. They do call it the Bible sometimes.
That is true.
I know a lot of people who call it the Bible, actually.
Yeah. It's actually that there was a mysticism that surrounded D&D in the 80s. And it started to die in the 90s a little bit, but that mysticism of the book of the cult of the DM, and I know that Satanic Panic and I get that was all really overblown, but kind of sort of not. Like I think
it definitely wasn't. No, it was not overblown. I lived
right,
it.
like right. No. What I mean to say is no. They were saying, "Oh, D&D is a cult that warps people's minds."
Right.
And that's obviously overblown. I'm saying, but.
Okay.
There was an element of the game where it was it felt like you were trying to cultivate a secret society, that you possessed knowledge that man was not meant to know. And you and I have talked before about the sort of the quasi mystic, kind of the I don't know, the nerd, the walled gates of the nerd, utopia that was D&D at that time.
Well, even today, I was talking a little bit about this beforehand with you, is that, and look, I'm not trying to be gatekeepy, but at the same time, I believe that core nerd culture truly started what we know nerd culture to be today. I mean, probably with comic books and there's the 50s nerds and the 60s nerds.
Sure.
And the 70s, but I think the 70s and 80s. So 70s is when nerddom, I think, was really starting to take off because you had computers coming out, you had comic books at one of its absolute peaks was in the 70s and 80s. Comic books were really hot. Science fiction, you had literally Star Wars come out in 77, which was the top movie. You had people like Steven Spielberg coming out with Jaws in 75, which I'd say is a nerd. He is a very much a nerdy type of guy. And George Lucas and all that. And so nerddom was really getting its footing in the 70s and took off in the 80s. And now we're seeing, this isn't even a second or even maybe even a third. I'd say the second generation of nerds I was seeing were the Harry Potter kids who were brought up in Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. But now those people are having kids. And now I'm seeing, I'd say third or even fourth generation of nerds. And I'm talking to people in their 20s. And we were talking yesterday about Trogdor, talking about stuff that just, if you weren't around during Strong Bad, you have no idea what Strong Bad is. And it's just gone, but that was such a big part of nerd culture. And there's a lot of things like that are just gone and that you either lived it or you didn't. And it is fascinating to see how nerddom is growing and evolving into a whole different segment of the youth.
I think that I think cultures in general. I mean, you're right. The fact that you can go online and find a community instantaneously, a Discord, a subreddit, and you could talk, no matter how obscure or weird or how far out there your hobby or interest is. There's probably at least 100 YouTube channels dedicated to it. Yeah. So nowadays, I think it's easier to find your community more than ever. In a weird sort of way, having your community isn't as important, I think, as it used to be, because it's just so available. It's so accessible.
Yep.
There was a time and a place when I first started playing, let's say Magic the Gathering or whatever, I had my group of Magic the Gathering people. That was it. If I was to say be, I don't know, excommunicated from that group, I just couldn't play Magic anymore. You know what I mean? So like it was so, and that community was so important to me. Now now you can just play anytime you want online and, talk to anybody you want about it. So I think that part of the thing about nerd culture is just that it's become more, democratized in a way. And that makes that so that now it kind of means less, but at the same time, it's more accessible. So it's kind of give and take.
Yeah. Well, that's why old grognarks like you and me.
I know. It's so funny. There was a game that somebody was like, I didn't like it. And the game is fine. It's just completely absurd for me. And, someone was like, oh, they probably watched 5 seconds of my video. They go, oh, look at this old grognard. Has to kill all the characters. Can't, blah, blah, blah. And I said, actually, my favorite role-playing games are games like Monster Hearts, Avatar Legends, and, Fabula Ultima. Games where you literally can't die. I said, I'm about as anti-grognard as it comes when it comes to that stuff. But, people see what they want to see.
So, few things. First of all, today is the last day of one of these super rare Roll for Combat sales. If you go to Battlezoo.com, it's right there. You click right at the top. 25% off almost everything. Not our newest stuff, but mostly everything. All of our books, everything. I don't even know why I'm doing 25% off Jewel of the Indigo Isles. I really shouldn't put that thing 25% off, because that book, I'm practically losing money selling that thing at this point.
Somebody saw it in the wilds.
Oh my God! Send me a picture, please.
And they posted it on our Patreon Discord.
What?
And someone was like, "Wow, this thing is thick."
Yeah, you don't have to tell me, buddy. I can't believe I did that last year. I think I might do a retroactive year in review of 2023 because I looked back and I think we put out 36 books last year, including, and a lot of them are digital, but trust me, it takes just as much to do digital as the physical. Including, I think it was 6. It's either 4, 6 plus reprints, like hardcover books. And man, it's like a fever dream. I'm like, did I make that book last year and put it out last year? Because there was so many books we did last year. I was like, yeah, right. Last year.
And again, let this be a word of caution and a word of warning to potential buyers, but also to potential, people who want to get into this game. Right? Like, you're not a big company, right? Steven, right? You're not a huge company.
2 people.
But if you're going to take people's money and you're going to deliver a product, you got to deliver the goods. You got to deliver it, and it's got to be awesome. It's got to be almost more than they bargained for. And as you said, the turnaround time has to be there. The communication has to be there. Don't think that you could just go and make a book. Like, there's a lot of knowledge and skill and logistics, that go into this. And so, I think, when books like that, when you're like, did I really bake this and publish this in the same year? It's like, yeah, that's a rarity. Like, there's Kickstarters where it's like coming in 4 years, coming in 3 years, and it's like, it's a long time to wait. For your hard-earned money.
Well, some people are only getting it now, and I was supposed to come out. The problem is that it's 440 pages and there's 2 versions. That was a fun. Think about it. Every day when I was working on it, I was thinking about it as it was like running 10 marathons. And I was just moving a little bit every day. I kept thinking to myself, okay, I'm moving a little bit every day, a little bit every day, a little bit every day. And I was thinking, man, will this ever end? To be fair, this.
It is disturbingly large.
Well, this is the thing. I finished the Pathfinder version, and then I was like, oh my God, I still got the 5e version to do. I'm like, I got another whole book to do. And that one was even bigger.
And the 5e one was bigger?
Yeah, it's a little bigger. Wow. It's 10 pages bigger. D&D is always bigger than Pathfinder. They just have... It mostly comes down to the ancestries are larger for ours, because we put in all I forget it, their abilities and their faults and their likes, their dislikes. There's all these tables for that, so it takes up extra space. We put in a lot. So yeah, I think it was 10 pages longer. It was either 10 or 20 pages longer. But man, and then I'm like, okay, great. Now I got to do the Foundry module, and I was like, oh, the Foundry module. Oh,
There we go.
Oh, in the wild. Wow.
Yeah, so that was at some game store.
Damn.
I think out in California.
That's awesome. I keep going to stores trying to find my own stuff. There's no game stores around here.
They're like it dwarfed the competition next to it. Massive.
Well, it is. That's actually not even giving it full credit. I mean, look, this thing is. Oh, this thing is a beast.
It's a beast. And it's 10 levels. What the hell were you doing?
10 levels.
Anyways, ribbons are nice.
I know. But yeah. So anyhow, sale today only. So check it out, because I don't do these that often. I do it for Thanksgiving, and then I thought, hey, I'll try a New Year's sale. Like, this is only the third sale we've ever had. I usually don't do sales, because otherwise I don't want to spoil you. So Barnes & Noble. Okay, if you're looking for Barnes & Noble, they are still been on the fence about ordering it. So ask for it. You can get it special ordered. But this is the thing. Keep asking Barnes & Noble for your Battlezoo books, because they dedicated all their shelf space to manga.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, they're starting to reallocate. I mean, I have inside knowledge, obviously, because I talk to everyone in the industry, because that's what I do for a living. So the inside knowledge is that they're reallocating the shelf space back to TTRPGs, because probably a D&D and other things. So because there's so many coming out, which we'll talk about later. So there will be more space, but basically, I also D&D, I think D&D products were not. We keep saying how D&D isn't selling and Hasbro's not selling. Well, it hurts people like me, because then Barnes & Noble is hesitant to buy more stuff.
Right.
So, because they don't want to buy it and then end up not selling it. So it's sort of a problem. So they want to make sure whatever they get, they'll sell. But if you ask your Barnes & Noble to bring it, they'll get it for you. And then they might order a few extra copies just for the heck of it. But otherwise, everyone else has it. Like Books A Million has it. Just some other stores, obviously smaller stores. Comic book sales, like comic book stores and game stores, sell very well. I'm getting it in there. But I'm waiting. What will probably happen is, because Eldamon is going to push hard, and they'll probably, they'll order the Eldamon book. And once they order Eldamon, they'll order the rest of the line. So that's sort of the hope. So there's a lot of excitement for Eldamon. So, and Eldamon, by the way, speaking of taking forever and not finishing it up, that took a little while, but it's done. It's done. We're just, I got to do layout, and I spent a lot of my time thinking about the layout of how to do the layout for Eldamon, because originally I had it look like a Pathfinder book, but I think I'm going to redo it and make it more. You know what I got? I got Fabula Ultima, and I like the layout and how they kind of made it look like a video game. And I think I might do that in parts and make it kind of look like a video game in aspects.
Okay. I mean, listen, you know me, I'm a fan.
Yeah. So I like the way I'm not going to go all the way because I still have to keep to my my trade dress. So I'm gonna go a little. I'm gonna like halfway.
A game, we did a first look of it last week. I picked up the hardback at Gen Con. But if you want to see what I think is a very beautifully designed book, as someone who does design, I think you could appreciate this, Stephen. There's a book called The WoTC. And
what's it called?
Called The WoTC. And
I've heard the WoTC.
Yeah, it's a RPG about sailing ships with giant chainsaws on them that sail.
I saw your thing, and I was like, it's like, what? It sounded cool.
Yeah, but the art and the book and the design and the font and the layout, I think it was really, really good.
Okay, I gotta get it now.
So
is it on itch.io?
It might have been originally. I think you can get the PDF off of DriveThruRPG, or you can get the hardback of somewhere else.
Interesting.
But it's a really weird form factor. It's more of a square book.
Holy moly! Yeah, these people know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's this is really good. The font is amazing.
Yeah, the fonts are amazing. Yeah, a really good design.
Wow. This
so.
is really...
And as far as I can tell, it's like their first book.
This is really well done.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool book.
Tell. Wow, yeah, these guys know what they're doing. I mean, that's my background's actually mostly font layout. Like, I don't do the crazy, like, where it's like textures and like, there's all this like texture on top of texture on top of texture, and you can get way, way, way over designed. And I'm about very clean, clinical designs, very similar to what Paizo does.
No, I appreciate that because there's been I'll call it I don't know, we heard about the Matt Mercer effect, but I think there's sort of the Björk effect.
Ugh.
And it's unreadable
terrible.
to me.
No, it's unreadable
to me. It's unreadable to me.
I had a big discussion, Professor Dungeon Master.
And I'm sorry if you love the game. That's fine. Like, that's great. The game might be amazing, but
terrible. I'd give him an F if I taught interactive design. I taught design for a long time, and that is one of those because he asked me, he's like, what do you think of it? And I said, oh, it looks incredibly beautiful. And I would never ever use that as a actual rule book because it breaks every rule, and it's because we could do a 10-hour video on this, but there's a whole thing about like, and this is what I used to teach in my courses, is like the role of instruction books, the role of manuals, we used to actually start off with a business card and start with the business card. It's like, what is the point of a business card? And go through all the different aspects of like the phone number, your name, your title, and like why you need it. Why don't you put your phone number above your name? It's like, well, because that's not the way it's done. And we go through like what expectations are design and like where things should be. And that is what these books are. These books are instruction manuals, okay? They literally are. You need to have structure and form to them, and they need to be very well defined in how they're laid out, and so you know what you're looking for, even unconsciously and subconsciously. The problem with Morkbjörg and all these others that have like over-designed is that you can't find anything. And it's like, okay, it looks great. Good luck finding it without Command F. So anyhow... Yes, I taught technical writing addition to everything else he's done. I taught design at Carnegie Mellon, NYU, and the New School. And let's see, does anyone I know took my classes? No one who is on Roll for Common now took any of my classes. But yes, I watched a good layout. Actually, I did a good bad versus layout stream about why D&D stat blocks are terrible. And I went through an example. And the funny thing is I've talked to designers and I redesigned the stat block. And now I talked to all these designers, it was like 2 years ago, and I'm like, you should do it this way. They're like, ugh, but everyone expects it this way. And I'm like, yeah, how hard is it to do a 5e stat block layout for your monsters? They're like, oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I can't get anything in there. I'm like, yeah, that's why. Because the layout is so inefficient. And that's, you guys gave our Battlezoo Bestiary such a high review, for especially the 5e. You even gave it, because we have text in there. We actually have space for cool content. And if you try to use their layout, you lose literally 200 words out of 600. You only get 600 words on a monster. So 650 if you're lucky. So if you are limiting all your monsters to 300 to 400 words, you're not going to have interesting monsters because half of that is already things like armor class and stats and crap. So you only have 50% of your monster left for cool stuff, or 40%. And that's it. So what's that, 100, 200 words in most? No wonder all the monsters suck. So you redo it. Right. You can see where I'm going. I can go on this for a long time.
No, but I was just saying, you do have to be careful, though, that you don't go too far the other way. Because
completely
while I love 4th edition D&D, a lot of people said it felt like they were reading a textbook, right? And I love it because for me, I love that it's a reference manual. It's a rules book. It doesn't have to look like, size 10 Arial font, on 8.5 by 11 double spaced. It can have some formatting to it. But if you make it almost too clinical and too useful at the table, people will say, oh, it's heartless, it's soulless. Yeah,
I completely agree. And that's actually why we put, and this is one of the things I decided right away is you guys are laughing at me, but I know you do it in love, is we do color. Like, all these other books were so like grimdark, and like I wanted strong, bold color. I wanted very it's funny because I was telling the professor about how like old school uses what's called tertiary colors. You know how they use those purples and those reds and magentas. And so when you see it, you immediately know, oh, that's an old school product because it uses tertiary colors. You don't even need to know what you're looking at, and you know it's old school because they all do that. As opposed to like, so I decided I'm going to be using very strong blues, purples, reds, you know, like almost cartoony like, because you just don't see this. Paizo does this too, but even they're a little muted compared to our books, and that's why all of our books are super bright and like designed that you know it's a Pathfinder book, Battlezoo book right away, because you're like, oh yeah, it's got like the super bright colors and the yellows and the reds and the greens, and I'm using this super bright stuff. But anyhow, we go about layout and design forever. I love this stuff. So speaking of which, I actually updated the layout slightly for Year of Legends, and people seem to like the layout. And yeah, I have a hard time with fonts, with like title fonts, because I kind of like the ones I'm using. I'm just using these kind of creepy monster fonts, and I'm like, let me try other fonts. And I'm like, oh, I can't get away from my creepy monster fonts. I like them.
You do like your creepy monster fonts. I do agree.
Well, because it adds a little bit of fun and whimsy.
No,
you know?
it does. And you know what? London in chat, he said, you know, and I've actually heard Mr. Lund talk about this before, which is, you know, the first time he heard you mentioned the whimsical, the fan, for the first time we kind of discussed RFC as being the anti-grimdark, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And you had mentioned, you're like, I saw everybody else in the industry. It was just like, more death, more black and white, more old school, die before you even finish character creation. You know, and you kind of came out and you were like, hey, you could be a cool dragon and you can be pretty and, you know, you can, you know, have a cool little Eldamon pet and you could have fun with it, or you could fight with it, and you know, and everyone's like, it's like such an opposition to, to the Shadow Darks and the Morkbjorgs and all that other, you know, grimdark stuff. And so, yeah, I remember that struck a chord with a lot of people who said, yes, this is what I want out of my fantasy. You know, I want the whimsical, I want the fantastic, I want the, the cutesy.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing is also, you can turn, like, because Jewel the Indigo Isle is stunningly dark in places, and
right.
It's like people are like, "Oh, it looks so fun! It's so cute." I'm listening to the North 25 guys. They've had like multiple TPKs. They've gone through multiple characters, and they're just like, "Damn, man! I thought this was an easy." And I'm like, dude, it's not an easy. It starts off easy, but it gets pretty grindy and nasty later. And now they're like to the parts where it gets super, super dark. But that is the Pixar effect, where Pixar looks so happy, but they always put in that darkness, and it's just so much more jarring when you have like the scene in Toy Story 3 at the end, or when you first meet like Bruce the Shark. Like it's truly terrifying because you're so out of your element, and when you see that, it scares the hell out of you, which then forms connections in your brain, which then make permanent connections, because permanent connections are associated with emotions, and therefore you always remember those scenes, you always remember Pixar movies, you have an association with it, and therefore it works. That is our secret, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, and it's also, a differentiator in a very crowded marketplace, right? Yeah. When everybody's trying to be the most extreme version, it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna compete in that vertical. I'm gonna go carve out my own, niche over here. Mm-hmm. Super chat from Lord of the Unfinished Project, which I've seen before. I just love the name; it's so appropriate.
That's you.
Amen. Yes. What programs do you use for layouts? How easy is it to learn? You use InDesign, right?
Yeah. So it's funny. I was talking to Baron about this morning. I use InDesign. I started with PageMaker because people are like, so Baron says to me, he's like, "Are you one of those weirdos who uses Quark?" And I was like, dude, I was using PageMaker. Quark wasn't even invented when I was starting. So, yes, I started with PageMaker. And I started laying out in 1988. So that's how long I've been doing this. And then I went to Quark because Quark took over. I actually thought
first I chiseled out the letters, and then I set them into the press, and then I rolled the ink that I had squeezed from a squid myself.
Wait.
Did I tell you about the time I used to be a North Shore fisherman?
Wait. Did I tell you about the time where I had my first company ever? Okay. Creative Simulations. Actually, before that, when I was a little kid, when I was 10 years old, I put on my door SMG Enterprises President. Stephen Mark Glicker Enterprises, and my brother still makes fun of me. He writes me letters or emails, or he'll say like Stephen Glicker SMG Enterprises.
That's nice.
It's so good. That's what was my first. And then I thought, oh, SMG, that sounds kind of weird. So I made Creative Simulations. I had a play by mail game.
Ooh.
Wait,
Play by mail's nice.
I was the king. I was the king of play by mail. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here's the rule book, baby. Look at that. Mall Maniacs. Look at that. You're fighting creatures inside of a mall. Look at that. So, and look at the thing. This is like the the Jello mold. It was like a gelatinous, like wild rice. You see, up down here, the wild rice here. It's like a wild book.
That is so 80s. I can just feel my.
Wait, you see what it says? Look, instead of B. Dalton, it says D.
Bolton. Nice. Avoid that copyright infringement.
Wait, look at this. So here we go. Stephen Glicker. Look, copyright 1987 Creative Simulations.
Wow.
And this was the rule book, and I created this. And so, I know. But anyhow, I used a program to lay this out. I don't remember. It was for the Apple II Plus. That's where I first started to lay out. Look at this map, baby. That was done by hand, man.
Wow. I got to be honest with you. This might be the most impressive thing I've seen from you yet.
I did this when I was 16.
I'm not even kidding when I say that looks like the type of thing that people buy at Gen Con as like one of those micro publishes, you know, that and then nowadays they're like $14.95, you know, for like a 12-page, you know, staple bound pamphlet.
Yeah.
You're trying over here making 500-page tomes. You just need to make micro pamphlets. Mall Madness.
I know, I was doing this
Mall
back
Madness
in the 80s.
returns.
You want to hear? This is where the craziness comes from. Check this out. The weapons in the game. So here, we're gonna do a little. I wish I digitized this. Here's the races. Okay, you could be a rock-on, which is a 7-foot tall man with red skin. He has the strength attribute. The small fry, nimble and dexterous. The live long, they have constitution. The slip slides, aka gremlins, they have speed as their main attribute. The long shot, which has the incredible luck. And human, which is the character is nonetheless like you or me, though not better inclined in any one attribute. They're instead harder your stock than any of the other races, and they have more attribute points than any other.
There you go. Lord of the Unfinished Project says you should put that out for April 1st.
Oh my God, I will. Strength, dexterity, constitution, speed, luck. And here's the weapons. Are you ready?
Look at you
and
breaking
so
out
the weapons go from level 1 to 12, and you can't go higher than 10 in the beginning, but you start off with like 1, 2, or 3, and then eventually you throw out the game. The electric pea shooter, the compound slingshot, the diamond egg beater, that's level 3, then the radioactive baseball bat, the titanium sledgehammer, the nuclear frisbee at 6, the bazooka blowgun, the atomic pie gun, the banana boomerang. I like my description here. Always comes back, fun to use, very nutritious.
It's clever, it's quippy, it's perfect.
The laser fly swatter. Here we go. Very powerful weapon, not only to kill the fly, but also destroy the wall the fly was on, the house attached to the wall, the ground attached to the house, and then it like dots. Now, you know it's the 80s? The ghetto blaster. Yikes.
Well, yeah, you know.
Well, it was the 80s. What do you want from me? It was the 80s. Hey, man, that's what it was called, okay?
That's true. Some things don't age as well, but...
Things don't, yeah. And then, of course, the most damaging weapon around, the rubber chicken.
Of course, naturally. Would not be a child's, like, 80s RPG without that.
And then I'll do the armor, and then we'll go on to the next thing. The armor is the bubble gum, tinfoil, cardboard sheet. Okay. It's just a cardboard sheet. Okay, as armor has the words fragile, do not hit printed all over it. Funny, monsters still don't seem to care. That's what I wrote. I haven't released this thing is fucking gold, man.
See?
I wrote this when I was 16. Plastic coating, blessed cloth, made from the same material potato sacks are made from, and as a plus, it is blessed by the great potato god. Leather outfit, ancient wool, mink coat, down jacket, tuxedo, plaid outfit, superb armor. Even the strongest of men can't look at this outfit without feeling sick. And then finally, the Hawaiian outfit. Superior armor, known to make the strongest rock-ons go blind. And then if you see here, the little cover art, you see the guy with the diamond egg beater with the Hawaiian outfit, and the woman with the whoopie pie, the whatever that was, and the mink coat. And look, there is the banana, the boomerang banana.
The boomerang banana. That is perfect. Look, people in chat are blowing up. By the way, we did have a super chat from Tiger Eyes, $5, said Happy New Year, wishing you much success in the coming year. And I don't know if they're wishing you or me, or is it a plural you much success, but I'll assume it's both of us.
Okay.
But,
well, we got 200 people in chat, and we are going to have fun tonight, or today. It's actually still day. Derik doesn't know anything about what I'm about to do. Derik knows nothing. Nothing. Not a thing. But we are going to have so much fun. So, Derik.
Yeah.
I kickstarted something in the middle of the year, and I got it. And I've been waiting very patiently. That's why I had to do the stream today. I had to do it with someone. I got in the mail, and if you know about this, I got this thing called Quest Calendars. Is anyone else doing this in chat? This is a calendar role-playing game every single day. Look at this thing. All full color. Isn't this insane?
It's very well done.
Well, this is the thing. Every day you do a small quest and you go on an adventure.
Got it.
Okay? And it comes with the calendar itself, which is insane. I can't even believe this calendar. I have a digital version. It comes with these pens and a wiper, like pens, because it comes with a deck of cards, which is very actually nice. It's a very, I can show the deck is like really impressive. It's got like all the artwork. You can see all the
okay. It's a deck of cards.
Yeah, a deck of real cards, like real cards. And it's used in the game. It comes with the tiniest set of dice I've ever seen.
Teeny tiny dice.
Look at these dice. How about that for teeny tiny?
Those are very small.
Those are very small. And the book, the quest book, where, get this, it's one of those, like, you can write on it type thing. So you track your inventory, and then here's all the characters. But here's the best part. Sticker sheets on the back. And you can this is how you like keep track of your inventory. I know, I'm like, this is insane. It was like $50. I was like, this is the best money I think I've ever spent. I was like, I don't know how they're making money. That's there's a lot of stuff. And it's incredibly well done. They've been doing it for, this is like their third year. They started with the science fiction one and they did a fantasy one. And I've never even heard of it. It's Quest Calendars. It's by Sundial Games. And I thought, now I'm not so insane that I was going to play this, because I don't even think you guys would like follow it if I played this every single day for like 10 minutes a day. But maybe I'll play a couple of days at a time and we'll see how we go. So let me show you. I'm going to switch over to the other camera. Whoop. And I'm going to show everyone a little bit about this game. And you know what I'm going to do, Derik? Just so you can follow along. Let me share with you the file so that you can see it a little easier.
Got it.
Second. So check that out, Sundial Games. I actually might have them on the show, or try to have them on the show, because I think they would.
I mean, I like this this equipment page. I like the layout. I like the iconography. Is that the word you use? Right
now, of course, the main reason I thought of you is because you get to play.
Right.
As cute little animals. Oh, I love it. Yay.
I was waiting for that. Listen,
I don't make the rules, baby. I just play what I'm given. So you get to play some animals. There we go. So here's what the equipment looks like. Here's what the inventory looks like. Showing everyone. Now you get PDFs of this too, so you don't have to actually use it. This is the map of the world. And so you're going to explore this whole world over the course of a year. And now here are the characters. So the characters are interesting. So the characters are Cora Wildclaw, I cannot read today. Cora Wildclaw, the blade dancer mouse with looks like a ladybug familiar. You have Quill Mudsong, the spellkeeper porcupine. You have Thatch, Spring Willow, the thorn weaver raccoon with looks like a moth familiar. You have Syl Blackbolt, the Lightseeker skunk. You have Merrick Lightfoot, the Shadow Weaver weasel. But you start off the game as Tack Redwind, the Wind Chaser. And you start off as level 1, and what will happen is you get to choose. So every week for the first 6 weeks, you play all the characters. And then on the 7th week, you get to decide which character you want to be as the main character. And then you will pick up more characters as part of your party. And I believe there's even rules for you to play from multiple characters at a time. So you get to try each one out for 1 week. And obviously, I mean, and not only that, look at this, there's different levels to the character. And as you level up, you get more abilities, and they even changed the artwork. I was like, I'm sitting here from a point of view, I'm like, they have like 400 pieces of artwork in this thing. I'm like, how are they making money? I don't even know how this is possible. And plus, they had to print it up, and it's all physical. God bless these people. So, anyhow.
That's pretty cool.
The rules are really interesting, and they're very simple. The whole rule set. I won't even go into the rules, because you can figure it out. And I wanted to see it, because not only does it look like fun, as someone who loves game design, and I always want to see game design, I've never seen anything like this. I like, how do you design a game pre-printed, pre-made to last a year? So from a game design point of view, this is fascinating. So I can't wait to try it and just see how they did it. I think I'm going to learn a lot from this game. I think I've just never seen someone do this before. I've never even heard of anything really like this, to be honest. So, but let's see. So we have chat. All right, so why don't you open it up, and I'll have you do some of the reading, because my glasses aren't, I can't read today. So this is the actual, we're going to start off. What you see is the beginning, and this is when you start off the day. And we'll do a couple of days. We're not going to do a full week, but we'll do a few days. It doesn't take that long. So do you see the one where it's like Cloud Spire, the Burrow, your adventure begins? You see that one? Open up the 1x1 document.
Which PDF? Wrenwood?
1x1. Sorry, did I send you 1x1? Oh, I didn't send it to you.
No, you didn't send me. Well, you didn't send me.
I send you the PDF. That would help.
Yeah, that would help. But yes, for those of you who are wondering what's having fun, nothing super serious. But Steven was very excited about this RPG that he kickstarted that is basically kind of like a desk calendar, a day calendar, where you flip through it. Mm-hmm. And we thought it would be fun to sort of just, take a stab at it.
Yeah, just a little bit. And more importantly, I really enjoyed when you did the Pendragon playthrough. I really enjoyed that a lot. I thought that was fun. And I was paying attention. I was like, damn, man, I want to do that. So I thought of you right away. So,
by the way, interestingly enough, they do have very favorable death rules in here. At some point you might get killed. You go to 0, but the gods will resurrect you, but it comes at a price. And then you can potentially lose stats, or you could get looted while you're dead.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And the thing is, the rules take all of 5 minutes to learn. It's very simple. Yeah. That's why I'm like, okay, a game that has to last this long has to be really simple yet complex and deep. So let's see how they do it.
Right. All right. Okay. I think I've got January 1st up here with Tack.
Well, first it says your adventure begins. It's before January 1st.
Yes. Your adventure begins with Tack Redwind at the Burrow. The back of this page contains the resolution for the next page, which is January 1st. The previous few pages contain some reference for the rules, which is mostly kind of T20-esque. The complete rules can be found at sundialsgames.com.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And then we have Tack Redwind, and here's your actual character.
Now let me cut off all the haters in chat.
Okay.
Because I want to reiterate something, which I've reiterated many times. Okay. Which is, I love games like Root and Mouse Guard, where you play as cute, furry, anthropomorphic little mice, all right, who go on awesome adventures. Why do I love those games? I thought Derik hated everything cute. No, I just don't like it when something cute is dropped into something that it feels out of place for. And I think a lot of people enjoy it because of that. This squirrel lady person thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
So Tack Redwin is the newest recruit at the Burrows. Tack recently completed at the Academy of Elemental Arts and seeks to be helpful to the community. He, thank you for your pronoun, was at the top of his class in demonstrating aptitude with the element of air and earned himself the title of Wind Chaser. He could command air and wind, using them to move quickly, knock back and trip enemies, and even create an armor-like barrier to his body. Tack is loyal and courageous to a fault. His self-sacrificial attitude has helped elevate and promote others, often to a detriment that goes unnoticed and unacknowledged. Sad violin music. All right, so we're going to be using this Tack Redwin character sheet. What do I got here? Hi, Dex. I'm apparently very stupid. Int -2. Okay.
You're not charismatic either.
I'm not charismatic. Great. This character is awesome. Reasonable constitution. Okay. All right. And from the sound of it, they're sort of an airbender. Is how I would read it.
Wind chaser, and then
a wind chaser.
The abilities, they're an athlete, which gives them +2 to all rolls for athletic hurdles. They have gust once per page. Oh my God. That is awesome. Once per page. I have never said that before. Reroll any d20 plus wisdom roll and take the new result. Right, Dex.
And take the new result. Okay, so basically,
mine says wisdom.
Mine says Dex.
We found a bug already. I'm looking at the sheet. And let's see. I might write them. Let's see, gust. I think it's actually, that's weird. Misprint. Because I'm looking at the sheet.
I mean, it makes more sense, right? For it to be dexterity. The gust, like the idea that like if you make an acrobatic leap and you fail,
probably
gust keeps you afloat, right? Yep. And keeps you going.
Yes, you have one surge you can use. So surges, those everyone gets, and a surge is whenever you roll a 20 on a die, you get a surge. Then you can use it in the future to add a D4 to any single damage roll. But you can only have one surge at a time, so all characters get that.
Got it.
So we are going to go to Monday, January 1st, 2024, and I'm having both sides shown because the way it works in the calendars, you actually see the color side is the day, and then you have to flip it on the other side. And it's kind of a pain. So I laid this out so you can see both. And you, the audience, are going to help us figure out what we're going to do because there's different orders in which we can do these things. So you can help out. And we'll have Derik play Tack.
I am Tack.
You're a Tack. I'll read the beginning. The Burrow. You arrive at the Burrow early for your first day of duty. There is some time to explore and get familiar with the outposts before you must report to Sergeant Furfoot.
Good old Sergeant Furfoot.
Good old Sergeant Furfoot. Oh, God.
All right.
Today is Monday, January 1st, 2024. Moon's Day, Deep Winter.
That must be their name of their fantasy name of January is Deep Winter. Of course,
because everyone has to have a fantasy name. And then here's the calendar. Here's the actual map, and you can see we're all the way down here in the Burrow, so that's where we are. So while the Burrows is primarily a military outpost and training ground, several civilian facilities and accommodations exist to create a small town atmosphere. So we can go to the waterfall, the fallen tree, the cooking site, or the supply post where you can buy stuff. Where do you guys want to go first on chat? And we'll go there first. So we're going to all of them, but let's see. Who wants to go where first?
First person to suggest. I mean, my instinct is to just go to the waterfall, but
Oh, we're losing viewers. Come on, people. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about a real subject after this.
All right. Daz Linkett says waterfall. I agree with waterfall. All right.
If you're shopping first, it's like you never go shopping first, you go shopping last.
Yeah, shopping's always definitely less. All right, we got 3 waterfalls.
Okay, at the waterfall, you encounter a group of children splashing and laughing in the crystal clear water. The kids challenge you to a swim race. You accept the challenge. You
No, it
roll
says if you accept the challenge.
If you accept the challenge, you roll a d20 plus dexterity plus your athlete. So it's a d20 plus your 3 plus a 2. So you get a plus 5.
Well, you know what? Listen, TAC Redwind does not accept challenges of that sort. So I will, and because I am a natural athlete, I have a desire to prove myself. And so I cautiously push my way to the front. And even though my powers are of wind, I am of strong mind and body, and I will dive in.
Look at that. Oh, he gets it after 20 up.
All right.
Damn it. Wow. The first roll of 2024, natural 20. Is that a good omen, or did you just use up all your luck? So I think you also get, I don't know if that's only in combat. Let me just check the rules real quick. It's
how about getting a surge?
Right here. When rolling to accomplish a task, natural 1 always fails. If you earn a boon whenever you get a boon, baby.
All right, sweet.
You get a boon. I'm going to mark that down. One
Yeah.
boon, which you can lose later to get an extra. So the result is 11 or more. You easily win the race and have a good time. While swimming, you find a glistening amber piece lost at the bottom of the pool. Gain 1 amber. Amber is the currency of Wrenwood and can be used to purchase goods. So you now have +1 amber too.
Sick. How much did I start with?
Man, that was a good.
I started with 4 amber, so now I have 5 amber.
5 amber. Man, you crushed those kids. You're like, yeah, you kids. I'm gonna.
Right. I like to think that, like, you know, my character is like basically a soldier, you know, and I'm just like just destroying these little children. All right. Well,
okay. People
want to leave the waterfall.
They want to do the fallen tree next.
Tiger Eyes wants to go fall on that tree. All right, we'll go in order here. So so I'm going to head over to the fallen tree because I'm going to start making my way back after that rousing athletic performance. I'm feeling a little peckish. I'm going to start heading to the cooking site, but along the way, I do see this fallen tree.
Near the fallen tree, you spot a group of townsfolk and officers working together to harvest wood. If you want to help harvest some timber for the town, roll a 1d20 plus strength reminder athlete. So that means you get a plus. Let's see, your strength
I get +2.
You get a +2 because your strength
is 0. So this is just going to be a +2, not nearly as likely.
Now wait, but when can you use your surge? You can use your surge. You may use this boon.
I can add. No, because it says I have 1 surge. I can use it to activate surge abilities, and it says I regain my surge at the beginning of each page. My surge says Gale Strike. Use 1 surge, add D4 to a single damage roll.
Okay, but you got a boon. So again, we're learning the rules. So you have a boon. No, a boon is you may use this boon to add 1d4 to a future d20 roll. You may only hold a single boon at a time. Rolling another natural d20 will not give you a second boon. So
got it. All right, we'll say we can add the D4 after the fact.
Yeah, we'll say you can do it after. So you can. So at any time you want, you can add a D4 to any.
Well, you know what?
Roll.
I am a helpful squirrel, and I want to do my part.
Okay, let's see what you get.
Oh, I thought it was going to be another nat 20.
If you got an extra 20, I was going to be like, you rigged the die, man.
All right, so that is an 8 with my athletic bonus, and I could spend the boon, but I'd have to roll a 3 or 4. That's a 50-50 shot. So,
well, what do you guys think? Chat chime in. Chat, what do you think? You think you should spend the boon? You only get the boon. You only got 5% chance of getting another boon, but you can only have 1 boon at a time. And if you lose it, if you roll another 20, and we're going to play this as usual, is that this if we play we'll play a couple days, so I'm going to not do too many, but it does get kind of fun.
So Mark says go for it, but Keisha says keep the boon. London says save the boon.
Use the boon. Use the boon. Use it. Oh, now we got a whole bunch of people. Oh, here we go.
All right, I'll use the boon, but if we get screwed because of this, I am upset about you all. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, it gets a 9, and the boon is gone.
That was
You were
special.
so close. As you begin to chop, a wood chip breaks off, flying into another townsperson and injuring them. You stop to tend the person and apologize. They thank you for your intentions, but ask that you be more careful.
Great. I'm embarrassing myself on the first day. Tiger Eyes says, what about the +2 for physical? Tiger Eyes, this roll was plus strength. My strength score is 0. My athletic gives me a +2. That's why I had a natural +2.
Yeah.
And so I rolled a 6. That gave me an 8. And then I rolled a 1 on my boon D4. So I got a 9. So I did not meet the minimum requirement.
Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Cooking site.
I go to where I should have gone in the first place because I was feeling hungry. No wonder I wasn't able to help with the tree. I'm going to make my way into the cooking site. What do I find there, Stephen?
You find a bustling area at the cooking site filled with delicious aromas. How do you eat an aroma? People are busy preparing meals or volunteering to lend a hand. If you would like to help with cooking the meals, roll a 1d20 plus your wisdom. No bonuses. And your wisdom is a 0. Oh, he's doing it. Oh.
For sure that was a 17.
That was so close to a 17. You're not doing too great.
I'm not doing great at all.
As you attempt to assist in cooking, you accidentally mix ingredients improperly, resulting in a less than appetizing dish. The head cook kindly takes over.
Embarrassing myself here. This is horrible.
Well, they're all 50-50 chances. Except for, actually, they weren't. Only the first one was above 50-50. So, supply post.
Finally, I grab a bite to eat from the cook, who, obviously says basically like, puts me out of the kitchen. And I take a small morsel of food and I note the jingling of amber in my pouch, now 1 amber heavier. And I'm going to head over to the supply post and note that because I now have 5 amber, I could potentially buy something here. So I spend a few moments perusing the wares, and I know that my Gale Strike enables me to increase the damage I deal, but I apparently have been a little bit lacking in my accuracy. So I'm going to pick up this combat tonic for 5, all of my amber, 5 amber, so that I can add a D4 to a attack roll.
So amber 0, and then you have combat tonic. I'm just doing this by hand, but in theory, we can go here to the inventory, and then under the combat tonic, you can I would be able to check this off. I mean, I could probably do that, but. And
for those of you who are following along at home, that was day 1. That's January 1st. So the next scene would be January 2nd.
Yeah, so you have combat tonic, and we'll do so January 2nd, because I want to do a couple days. That could go crazy here, but a few.
We're going into the future!
Or the past if you're watching this later.
That's true. Lollipop says, Derek started with a nat 20, and then the rest of his rolls blow. Yeah, exactly. I blow the rest of my rolls. I start with, what this is like? This is like when you play Pathfinder or something, right? And then the GM asks you this throwaway die roll, you're like, I look at the statue and you're like, he's like, make an Arcana check, or making a craft. You're rolling that 20. You're like, he's like, yeah, it's really nicely made, And then the combat starts and you can't roll above a 5. And you're less like, what is going on right now? All right, well, we'll go into the future.
We're going to go into, I read ahead a little, so I wanted to see what different types of things you can do, because that was kind of the skill challenge day. But I think today you're going to have a little bit of combat, so we're going to try out some combat.
Well, it's a good thing. Now, by the way, as a note, I didn't spend my surge, but it does say you have 1 surge you can use to activate surge abilities. Regain all used surges at the beginning of each page. So had I used my surge, which I didn't need to, it would regenerate.
Correct.
So we've heard of daily resources. We've heard of encounter resources. Now we have page resources.
Aren't you glad you came on the stream today?
Listen, I'm having fun.
Yeah, this is fun.
Right.
And it's actually interesting because it's like, oh, that's fun. That's like a nice little 5-10 minute activity, just like once per day. You stand at attention before Sergeant Furfoot as he gives you a list of duties for the day. Listen up, Tack. As a member of the Burrows, you have much to prove. I have some important jobs for you to handle today. And I see,
Sergeant.
He's looking at you. You literally are at attention and everything in the picture. Yeah. You're like,
aye, sir. Just tell me what I have to do.
You have to do 3 tasks. 1, patrol the perimeter. 2, clean the training grounds. And 3, haul some supplies.
My vision, my dreams of great, grand, glorious service in the Burrows comes crashing to a ground as I've given basic patrol duty, and then I've got to clean and do labor.
Oh, by the way,
So,
Nim says something funny. Aren't page resources just dailies? Dun, dun, shh. They really are. They're truly once a day.
London asking the really important question: why is the art so good? Like, it's just so throwaway,
dude. I can't even believe
no,
that's what I was
literally,
like.
Am I right? Right. When I say that the art is literally throwaway, it is throwaway. You're supposed to rip this page off, right, and toss it.
I know. That's what I was like.
So
how
good.
are they people making money?
Like, I don't care. Like, tell me. I mean, obviously, we're looking at his butt, but doesn't Tack look kind of like a badass? Like, I love like the glyphs on his his outfit, and his like the way his ears are coming out of that green hood. He looks like a badass. All right, well, I'm gonna get to it.
Wait.
What?
Oh, so if you look carefully on the picture, look right here on the bot near his butt. You see that?
Is he pooping?
No, there's on the wall, on the tree. There's a little hidden symbol of a bag filled with gold.
Oh,
I think we're supposed to. Yeah, that might mean something later.
Oh, I've completely missed that. I am very oblivious.
You failed your perception check.
I've personally failed my perception
That's
check.
right, you personally.
Okay, all right.
So what do you want to do? You want to go in order?
Yeah, let's just go in order. So, that's the order he gave it to me. I assume that's the order I have to do. So I am going to go patrol the perimeter.
Okay, here's your orders. I need you to patrol the outer perimeter of the burrows. Keep an eye out for any signs of intruders or suspicious activity. Report back immediately if you spot anything out of the ordinary. Roll a 1d20 plus your wisdom.
Ooh, well, my wisdom is also not great. It is +0.
Correct.
I have nothing that can affect this, and I have no boons. So this is just a straight d20 roll. Here we go.
No way! Do you have a sound effect like the cheer or something? I know you do.
I think I do. Let me see here. All right, I'll take it.
Oh,
Look,
God.
I can only fail miserably and roll nat 20s. So there we go.
You might want to clear the die. It's like right over your head. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
If the result is 15 or more walking the perimeter, you observe a lookout point needing repair. You report this and help send out to reinforce the mound. You also notice an unusual indent in the earth beyond the grounds of the burrows. You report this as well. Sergeant Furfoot comments on your efforts and rewards you with 1 amber. He also puts the outpost on alert. Note down high alert somewhere for future reference.
So see, like this, I like these kind of game mechanics. So this is very Blades in the Dark, very like Fate-esque, right? Where it's like we're giving the campaign the sound of the or the tag or the trait of high alert. You can think of it as an aspect from that perspective. But yeah, Tiger Eyes is $2 says art rocks, love it. What a cool little game. Yeah. Mark, how do I have no boons? Because I was hoodwinked by the dastardly people of chat
you would
into
have
spending.
lost it anyhow. You could only hold one at a time.
Oh, but yeah, but I haven't gained another boon.
Yes, you did. You just rolled a 20.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay, I'm back to a boon. I forgot about that. All right, we'll need that bad boy.
Yeah, right. You see, if you didn't use it, you would have lost it.
Okay, I got it. That's why Nin is saying good thing I got the boon. Okay, I'm picking it up. Listen, it's my first time playing.
It's all of our first time. Everyone here I've never played.
All right, fine. You're all better role-playing games than me. Is that what you want to hear?
He's got a lot going on right now. Okay, it's the beginning of the year. Hey man, he's rolled 2 20s out of 4 die rolls. That's pretty. 5 if you include the
5 die rolls.
5 die rolls. If you include the D4.
All right. Well, so excitedly, I will. Having done well, I am going to very somewhat sullenly head over to clean up the training grounds, knowing full well that my squirrel constitution is a little bit better than my wisdom. So this is going to be a D20 plus 1.
Wait, I got to read it.
Oh, you got to read it. Sorry, read your flavor text.
The training grounds have fallen into disarray. I need you to organize and clean the area, ensuring it's ready for the upcoming drills and exercises. A well-maintained training ground is essential for the growth and preparedness of our recruits. The training grounds are a mess, covered in debris and overgrown vegetation. It will require diligent effort to restore the area to its optimal condition.
What kind of chicken shit outfit did I join here? These people can't keep anything together. All right, here we go. +1.
No! Oh, man, you almost... Damn! You almost did it again.
By the way, I promise this is literally just like a webhooks like dice roller. I couldn't control this thing if I wanted to. There's no way I have it.
You got a,
all right, well,
seven,
I got a 7,
which is still a failure. But if you just need a +1, and you will turn that into.
All right. Well, I'll use my boon, which doesn't matter because it'll just upgrade it to 1. The next condition, right?
Let's see. Just for luck, you gotta test the luck here, baby. Just roll it.
Right.
Roll 1d4 and see what you get. 4! Yay!
Right, but it's still a 12, so it doesn't make any difference.
While you make some progress in cleaning, it's just too much for one person to complete adequately. The sergeant encourages improvement. Tack. The training ground should symbolize our commitment to excellence. Take more care in maintaining its order and cleanliness. Good job, man.
Tack under his breath mutters, well, then why was it in such bad shape to begin with? I'm beginning to grow to dislike Sergeant Purpose. All right.
There's the link to the product, by the way.
By the way, after being given this task and succeeding, but being told I did a shit job, I very begrudgingly, and in fact, with some degree of trepidation, because I know my strength bonus is +0, I had to haul the supplies. All right, Furfoot, what do you want?
Well, here we go. We have a shipment of food supplies coming in today. They need to be unloaded quickly to avoid spoilage. Act fast to get them to the underground cold storage. It's a 1d20 strength plus athletics, so a +2.
I do get my athletics because my strength is 0, but the athletic athlete trait gives me a +2 bonus to these type of checks. So it'll be d20 +2. Here we go.
Here we go.
Either way, at least it's not a nat 1. See,
7.
all I can roll is failures and nat 20s.
You struggle to haul and lift the supplies across the outpost. After completing your other duties, the weight of the materials and the heat of the high sun in the middle of the day are exhausting. Reduce your health by 2. Holy moly! You go down to 8 hit points, baby.
A max of 10, by the way. Yes.
Yes, max of 10.
Wow.
Day 2, not quite as fruitful as day 1, but day 3. This is a good one.
Well, no, but day 3, you're going to be streaming
On Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to show people a few things.
Do it with Justin Alexander. That'd be fun.
Okay, I'll do it with them.
You can kind of send it to him ahead of time so he can kind of know what's up. That'd be fun. I think that'd be a cool thing to do. Just, spend 10 minutes on your stream and just do like that day's thing.
Well, the problem is I only do a stream once a week. See, I was thinking of doing a week worth of these at a time, maybe. That's what I was thinking of doing. And that way I could just do it once a week instead of every day.
Fair enough. All right, but I think we can stop for today.
Oh, it was so much fun. I was enjoying it.
Look, it was fine too, but we got topics we got to get to, and
all right. The next one was actually the best one. That's where you had a big battle, but that's okay.
I would have rolled poorly and felt bad about myself, so that's good.
See, everyone wants us to do more. We'll do more. I promise. Just not today.
Yeah, critical role. You better watch out because Steven and Derik reading a calendar is coming to take the throne.
You know what? People love it. people love it. But so what did you think? It's
I will reiterate the art has no business being this good. The fact that they did a different version of the character for every one of the different character sheets,
I know,
is insane. And there's a bunch of different characters. Like we were obviously the mouse, but this core, there's 6 different characters.
I know.
Awesome.
It is it's too much. So yeah, this I was actually looking forward to it all year, and then it came on time because I was like, wow, how much gall is it to do a Kickstarter for a calendar? Because you can't miss that, baby. It's like,
oh, that's true.
You think about that.
They've had some experience doing this before.
True, but still, can you imagine even if one mistake? I had my books held up in customs out of nowhere, and no one told me. So
maybe they bribed the right people.
It wasn't even me bribing. It just there was a mistake. But it's how much is this thing? By the way, I gotta look this up because I'm like, How is this thing so good? I bought it on Kickstarter. Let's see.
This art is really good.
Let's see how well it did. I mean, it raised $700,000. Oh my God! Do you know how much this thing costs?
How much?
$38.
I mean, to be fair, it is just a.
It comes with all that stuff.
It's just a calendar, technically. So
no, it comes with the calendar. It comes with the book. It comes with the dice. It comes with the card deck. And it comes with the pens.
All right.
I mean, dude, just the calendar. It's 400 pieces of art. That's like. Unless I got someone in house, that could be like $500,000 right there. I mean, not $500,000. Wait, I'm doing the wrong. Wait, that is like around. I can do the math.
I'm just saying, like the.
So that's like 60,000 for the art alone.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff here is. I mean, that is really cool looking. I mean, like these different. Look at this mouse lady. She's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
There's an app. I was like, I didn't even load up the app. I was like, there's an app too. $38, man. Jeez. I mean, the full price is $62, but it looks like you can still get it. Now, to be fair, just the calendar and the dice is $26. And then the book with the markers and the app is $13. But there's a deluxe version. That's $150. I'm getting into the deluxe, man. I might upgrade because this thing is awesome. It comes with pins of all the characters. Comes with dice. Comes with a very cool dice bag. It looks like a leaf.
Oh, very cool.
This is impressive. I mean, it takes a lot to impress me, but
London doing a nice calculation. It's like that's like 10 cents a day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's almost nothing. Wow. Yeah, that's a crazy amount. Yeah. Wow. Tiger Eyes just bought it. There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah. Hopefully, maybe I get them on the street. I mean, but again, it's fascinating because it's something fun. I was looking forward to it. Now we did 2 days, so now I got tomorrow done. Maybe I'll do my own, see how it goes. We can save one for the stream and one for myself. And the other thing that's fun is that it's a very interesting design because you have to plan out an entire year. I mean, oh my God, it sounds like an absolute nightmare. To me, it sounds horrible, but God bless these guys. I mean, wow, impressive.
Anyways,
so let's talk about the main topic.
You mean yes? After an hour.
That's the way we do it now.
I know you got to get better at that though.
No, that's the way we do it. People have nothing to do today. It's New Year's.
That is accurate.
So the main topic is I don't even know.
2024.
It's 2020. Oh, sorry. So the main topic is 2024, and I thought we would break it up into two things. Which the first thing is new RPGs and things to look forward to, and then also predictions. So 2024, which is now.
Yeah,
there's a lot coming out this year, and of course, there's the big one, which is D&D 2024. Right. I put together a small list, and I was like, and these aren't supplements; these are role-playing games. I'm like, there's a lot coming out this year.
Well, I think
they're big.
Yeah, so 2024 to me is going to be the year of, in a way, it's going to be the year of the playtest in a weird way.
True,
right? Because
there's a lot of playtests.
There's a lot of big supposed games that are going to try to come for the throne. Right. Mm-hmm. And Matt Colville, DM, DC20, Daggerheart.
I forgot about DC20.
And, these are all going to be Tales of the Valiant. Right. So these games are all in production. They're not out yet. And so there's this really weird timing structure. Right. Because, obviously it worked well for their bottom line, but Paizo hauled ass to get their remaster done ASAP before 5e.
You have no idea.
Okay.
You have no idea. They made me look slow.
Right. Now that being said, some mistakes were made. There was some day one goofs and gaffes and problems and all this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is they got out there ahead of the curve. So you're going to have this weird interregnum where people are going to be not really as interested in D&D for the first 6 months of the year because pretty much everybody agrees that if they want to hit that production date towards the middle of the year, end of the year, they can't keep doing playtesting and feedbacking. Like you at some point you actually have to start writing and printing the books. So D&D is almost like a lame duck in that everyone's like, well, we have to wait and see what the game is going to become. But at the same time, you're going to have all these people getting really excited about potentially some very different RPGs. MCDM, the first playtest came out last week for the patrons. And so I downloaded it. I started reading the rules. It is still D&D like, but it is a very different game. So you're going to have people playtesting wildly different games. And then in the middle of that, but those games aren't coming out. And then suddenly D&D Next 2.0, 6th edition comes out. And that's going to create this really weird pressure, I think, in the hobby, because you're going to have people who have been like kind of maybe off of D&D and they've been trying out all these new games, but the new games haven't come out yet. And then suddenly there's a brand new shiny version of D&D. And is that going to, sync? I don't know. That's where the production comes in. I don't know what's going to happen at that point. I think that'll be a critical inflection point for the hobby.
I actually have the list here. So if I'm missing any, and then we can just go through them. The list I have here is D&D 2024, Daggerheart, MCDM RPG. Now, some of these are playtests, but I count those because that works. Starfinder, 2nd edition playtest. Stormlight RPG, that's coming out. Final Fantasy RPG, that's coming out.
I pre-ordered that one, and I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG, that's coming out. Tales of the Valiant, that's supposed to be coming out. Assassin's Creed RPG, that's supposed to be coming out. The Diablo RPG, which has some serious design power behind it. The Gloomhaven RPG, everyone forgot about that one.
I did.
It's a monster. And then DC20. Yeah. That's what I have on my list, but there's probably even more. There's Knave. Knave is coming out.
Indestructible is working on a game, right?
Knave is...
Vagabonds or something?
Yeah, Vagabonds.
I don't know what's called.
And Knave is coming out from Ben Milton.
Yeah. So and those are some of those projects have some big.
Oh, and Project Sunflower's PDF, by the way, he sent that to me early. Sorry, you sent it to me. If you're listening to the stream, I didn't get a chance to look at it because I literally went on vacation. It's like you sent it. You're like, here, I want you to check it out. I'm like, thank you. Bye. I'm like on a plane, and I read zero when I was on vacation. All I did was play video games the whole time and watch Derik stream.
So those are some big names with some big hype behind them, and none of these games really strike me as being like revolutionary, like they're gonna like change the face of gaming forever. But yeah, I think it's enough that it could be a disruptive element. And Mike, Palladium is re-releasing TMNT, as I understand it. It is a re-release of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other strangeness. I don't know if they're like I don't know if it's like a 2nd edition or whatever, a next edition, or if it's a reprint, but it is basically the Palladium book. Yeah. Yeah. And I know that on my community, our Discord, we've got 350 members of our Patreon Discord community. People are talking about the MCDM game, and people are talking about, getting into the Daggerheart playtest group. And yeah, this is definitely going to be a conversational piece. But again, it's very strange because you have this specter of the 10 trillion ton gorilla about to drop a new edition. And typically when D&D releases a new edition, that is like a nuclear bomb going off. At least, when 3rd edition came, I wasn't really playing the game when 2nd edition came out in 89. Mm-hmm. I was aware of D&D, but only tangentially as a kid. I was a little too young still, but like when 3rd edition came out, when 3.5 came out, when 4th edition came out, when 5th edition came out, these were all watershed moments for the hobby, for the whole industry. Mm-hmm. And so, where do people stand? And I personally, I'm outside of the Wizards of the Coast community. I don't really play 5th edition. I don't pay attention to the Unearthed Arcana releases. I haven't really looked at the playtest documents, so it's hard for me to know. My pulse isn't, my finger is not on the pulse of D&D.
I've been on I've been on the pulse of the company quite a bit. But for the game itself, it's also, they say this is that whenever you say you're going to release a new edition, the old edition dies.
Yeah.
And unless you're currently playing it. Now, I'm not currently playing D&D, but it's like all these new books have come out, and quite frankly, I mean, I do have some of them. I did get the Planescape book because that I was just more curious about because I love Planescape.
Yeah,
And
I
actually,
got the Dragonlance book because
Yeah.
I love Dragonlance.
Right.
So
But it's like when push came to shove, I'm like, they're coming out with a new edition. I kept saying that in the back of my mind. I'm like, should I buy this? Should I not buy it? They're coming out with a new edition, and I didn't buy it. I'm like,
yeah, I mean that's why I said there's always that weird period, right? And I mean, D&D and Paizo, everybody wants to be like, it's not a new edition. Keep buying our books,
right?
Because they don't want to lose out on that revenue stream, and the only time that you want to do that is if your warehouses are empty, but then that means you get no cash flow for the next however many months, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough. I remember before third edition came out, there was a very interesting strategy. Do you remember this? They started coming out with all these books that were like designed to end your campaign. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like there was even one adventure called the Apocalypse Stone that was literally written so that your second edition campaign, there was ones at different levels, but this was for like your high level second edition campaign that you might have been playing for 8 or 9 years. What a way to go out on a bang. The world explodes, your universe is destroyed, and that way you can buy that fresh new player's handbook.
It's like ending an MMO, by the way. That's how I would blow up the world, remember?
Yeah. So, but now you're in this weird point of time where that isn't happening. And they're also saying this isn't a new edition. You don't have to change anything. And it's kind of like
the game will remain the same.
The game remains the same. And so I honestly don't know which market force is going to be stronger and is going to overtake the other,
It's a weird, well, in theory, and we got to hope this is that D&D will bring people into the store to buy stuff. And while they're there, they'll hopefully buy other things, which is why I see a lot of these games I think are trying to come out. They're either trying to come out, some of these are announced for like later 2024. Like I think the Diablo RPG, I think the Assassin's Creed. I forgot some of these, but some of them are trying to come out before because they want to ride in the coattails, like Tales of the Valiant. And I'm not sure when Stormlight comes out. And Starfinder and MCDM are just play tests. And then I think, when does Daggerheart come out, everyone?
I haven't heard a release date.
I think it's soon. But my point is that if they're smart, you want to have your big book come out. Not either now is when you want to come out when there's like nothing else going on.
Right.
Or with it, because a rising tide raises all ships, and you want to be with there because people are coming in to buy stuff.
I mean, is that really what people do? You go in, you're excited to buy it. You're excited to buy a brand new edition, whatever they want to call it.
You'd be surprised
of D&D, and then you're also like, oh, I'm going to pick up this game as well, and I'm going to like start learning a new game while I'm learning the other new game.
Well, okay, I'm thinking from my point of view. For me, I'm trying to get my dragon books into there because you're like, I'm buying this book and I'm buying the dragon book so I can play a dragon in D&D, and it works in this edition.
Your situation's a little different.
Yeah, my situation's different.
I mean, these are all systems.
You're right. You're right. Well, you never know. I mean, look, it's an opportunity. If someone's only going to go to the bookstore once or twice or 3 times a year, and they're specifically going there, it doesn't hurt. Okay.
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, I guess I don't, and because I mean, you said something which I think is very accurate, and I think it's actually sort of telling, which is, a lot of channels, your channel included, have talked about, a lot this year about Wizards of the Coast, about Hasbro, about the Pinkertons, about the OGL,
I'm not done yet.
about the firings, about the AI potential scandal that wasn't a scandal, right? And a lot of people have made videos, a lot of people have made retractions, but none of those people are talking about the game. Like, no one's talking about D&D. They're all the news is about Hasbro this, WoTC this, WoTC this. And I'm like, there's a new game supposed to be coming out. Why isn't what is that? Maybe it's a bad sign that the conversation hasn't been around like the, holy shit, did you see what they're doing to druids type thing. Like, I remember in the lead up to 3rd edition and 4th edition, you had all these preview articles and people were getting really excited. I just don't know that I sense that same level of burgeoning excitement, because it's been tempered not only by some of these corporate malfeasancies, but also, you know, people are excited about maybe some of these other games.
I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, first of all, keep in mind, and I heard someone talking about this because I didn't watch Zack Snyder's new movie.
Rebel Moon.
Yeah, Rebel Moon. What? Hated it? Did you see it?
No, I did not.
Okay, but
I heard it was bad.
I've heard a lot of mixed, but I've also heard people who I like him. I actually love 300. I actually like his style. I like some of what he does. The guy actually, from a personal point of view, is actually a pretty cool guy and nice guy. And so, like, I wish him no ill. I actually very much want to see it. And the point is that one of the reviewers I saw said, you know what? When I was a kid, and he's like my age, it's like, there would be 4 movies coming out that year in science fiction fantasy, and that's it. And you rewatched them 50 times, and it didn't matter if they were good, bad, or otherwise, because you were just happy it existed. And I feel like back in especially 2nd and 3rd edition days, we had a lot of hype because that's all there was. And yes, there was other games out. There was the Rifts and Bushido and GURPS and all those, but they did not get the press. Hell, they didn't have the press because they didn't own Dragon Magazine. They literally couldn't get the press because they owned Dragon Magazine.
And there was no internet. So what were they going to do?
Right. So you got a lot of press, and there was a lot of excitement, and you go to the stores and people would be talking about it, and you go to Gen Con and like, this is what people were talking about. But nowadays, look at this. This is 1 year. What is that? 15 RPGs that are coming out this year. Not even next year. It's this year.
It's an insane amount.
I mean, that's more than one a month. That's like every 3 weeks we have a new RPG, a big one coming out. Every 3 weeks.
Look, I mean, and there is such a thing as game fatigue. You know, I mean, obviously, I have a large game collection, right? And the camera doesn't even fully encompass how high and how wide this goes.
Yeah, my bookshelf, this is only the stuff I have at hand. My entire I have 10, 15, 20 times this in my office.
Right. And so, but here's the thing, I will be completely honest with you. Since starting this channel and being on YouTube and being part of a community of role-playing game people, my number of purchases of books has probably gone up in terms of new systems. And even I'm getting a little bit of system fatigue. I'm
Calendar Quest, the Leaf Riders of Wrenwood. We add that to the list as our new game, and we already started playing it.
Right. So I mean, you were listing that list off, and I go, oh, geez, I feel kind of compelled to try them all out, but it's like, but at a certain point, I can only fit so much role-playing game into my schedule. And I'd like to eventually have campaigns, right? And not just constantly run one-shots and multi-shots for the rest of my life. Like, okay, 15 new systems are coming out next year, plus D&D, right? And plus they're going to finish up core for Pathfinder 2. Okay, great, cool. But which one of those am I playing? Like, which one am I? Because you're not going to rotate the game every week? No,
this is so. Regular viewers of the channel know I always say this, is the video game world is always a few years ahead of the TTRPG world. I strongly believe that. I see lots of evidence of that. I don't know if this is exactly one-to-one, but does remind me of the time when MMOs came out. And when, first it was like EverQuest, and then World of Warcraft.
Then Dark Age of Camelot, and then Asheron's Call, and Rifts,
everything came out, right.
Warhammer,
and people, but the big point,
Anarchy Online, Eve, it was like...
And people are like, oh, when are you going to have time to play them? By the way, I did play every single one of those you just listed. I played them all. But the point is, you only have so much time to play these games.
Right. And more importantly, those games at the end of the day are a single player experience. I know people who have Steam libraries, which have hundreds of unplayed games in them, if not thousands. And that's an instance of a game that you could play by yourself.
Like me.
So RPGs are essentially, for the most part, there has been a certain rise in popularity of the solo player RPG as a result of probably this reason. But you need a group. You need a group in person. You need a group online, and that means scheduling, and that means all this other stuff. And with everything else going on in the time, there are people in the Knights of the Last Call community who can play role-playing games a couple times a week because of the accessibility of a great community of quality players. and we have some people who play by post, so they kind of play at a very, they almost play 24/7, but at a very snail's pace, because it's just kind of like almost like old play by mail, but they play by post. And so all that's fine, but at the same time, that's still a big ask. And then you're talking about what, three systems, and there might be systems that have come out that you love playing. Like if you're like, oh, I love playing Pathfinder 2, or I love playing, I don't know, Legend of the Five Rings or Fabula Ultima. Great. Where do these next 15 games fit into your schedule? I worry, a lot of people are like, it's going to be a renaissance. I've even used that term. Maybe this will be another golden age of role-playing games. I feel like there's already, go to itch.io, go to Kickstarter. There's a shitload of games coming out. Like, we're not at there's not
I forgot a few. There's like Break RPG that's coming out, and there's so many. I mean, it's just right. Endless. It's just there's
not a lack of new RPGs to play. So I don't know if people are going to be like excited and start buying RPGs off the shelf like me, just because they're like collecting them in a weird way. But like I said, even I'm getting a little bit of product fatigue. Or are they just going to go, screw it, just give me the D&D. I'll just D&D it up. I don't have time. Like, it's almost like you're so overwhelmed by choice that you just stick with what you know.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah. If there was one new game coming out, right, to challenge the throne.
I'll tell you, there is one new game that did come out that has been challenging the throne. And that's, you know what it is. Do you have yours?
No, I did not kickstart that.
Shadow Dark. It's all people are talking about, man. It's like,
yeah, I don't know why.
Everyone's playing. It's amazing. It's like, and people are playing it a lot. People are really playing it. I mean, Kelsey, I mean, I just got my copy. I'm going to read through it. It seems pretty straightforward. I mean, it's an old school type game. The thing is, I haven't really played these that much. And you see, the other thing is everyone has a type of game they like, which is fascinating because, so Professor Dungeon Master.
Oh, actually, I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, we got a super chat. Tiger Eyes for $5. I trust Paizo. I don't trust Hasbro. But Pathfinder 2nd edition revised. No D&D for me. I think they're not doofing people yet. I don't know what he means by that. But
I forgot I do own Shadow Dark.
Oh, you have, dun. Shh.
I'll just add a little note card in here. That torch burns at real time.
Ooh, what a, Kelsey is lovely.
I'm shook. I'm sure.
Did you meet her
there's a lot
at Gen Con?
No, but there's a lot of retro. There's a lot of old school. I think Old School Essentials is a great product.
I think there's a lot of these Old School Essentials, and they all look very similar and play. Yeah,
they all look very similar. I think each creator adds their own little bit of spice to it. Or a gimmick, as Dr. Waite says. And that gimmick could be the difference between whether you like a game and whether you don't like a game. I'm simply saying that for me, for my money, as I spend it on games, since I already have BX D&D, there's not a huge draw for me to buy these sort of retro clones or I can't remember the other term that they use now, because it's not really a retro clone anymore.
By the way, there's a question in chat. I do want to answer this. Is that, do you think it's a good idea to run Jewel of the Indigo Isles as my first adventure path? I've never run an adventure path before, GMing for less than a year. Also, which official adventure path could you recommend to start with? So, first of all, it's on sale for 25%. Second, I would strongly recommend you run Jewel of the Indigo Isles. I know a lot of schools are running it, and I talk to people. People love it. Now, yes, I know I'm biased, but I'm going to tell you why. We start off very easy. No, I'm dead serious here, because we did this on purpose. It starts off very simple. It starts off very, like, the encounters are to the point people are like, wow, this is really easy. Like, too easy. And I'm like, yeah, because I want people to enjoy and get a feel for the world and not concentrate on, like, life or death situations. Plus, our adventure path is twice the size, if not 3 times, if not 4 or 5 times the size of a regular. Well, it's like 4 to 5 times the size of a D&D adventure path, and it's twice the size of a Pathfinder adventure path, because there's so much in there to help you understand the world, and we have lots of varying rules. So if your players go off, off script, you know what to do. And we have rules in there. Is that what happens if characters die? Well, we tell you what to do. We actually have lots of there. It's like, what happens if the PCs are defeated? It says in there constantly. And so much so that Paizo took that from me, and now they use it too. But it's like one of those, wow, it's such a good idea, Steve. When I was like doing it, they took a lot of our ideas, because like you're running, it is an adventure path, and it is very story based, and you want to make sure that people continue along the story if that's what you're trying to do with your party. And how do you get them back on track? And we have all these variant ways and methods to do it. Plus, we have individual pictures for every single NPC. Every single one has a picture. Every single one has a token. We have unique monsters, because they all come from Battlezoo Bestiary. So even if you've been playing D&D, no one will know what's coming. You can use the monster part system, which is built into, which everyone loves. And you don't have to. We have rules for both that and not. Long story short, it's designed to make it that you can play this however you want, and we give you all the tools, and it goes from level 1 to 10. And I have to say, I think the story, everyone who's played it, it's very strong and changes and continuously gives you rewards. So it's hard to explain. I won't get into the theory, but it's based on The Sims, is that you're always giving somebody small rewards, or a slot machine. It's actually called the slot machine mechanic, or slot machine gamification, where you give people constant rewards. That's what slot machines do. So you give them small, medium, large, big rewards. So they're constantly getting rewards of different sizes. So when they do something very long, they get a big reward, but constantly they're getting small rewards to keep them going and keep them moving. And we're doing that all the time. And we're very all this was very consciously put into the adventure. So you feel like you're always moving forward, always having progress, you're always having fun. And people really like it. I mean, I know you haven't read it yet, Derik, but that was the design philosophy behind it. So
I mean, it adds to the ever growing queue, right, of things that's like to take a look, especially when they're very big and long like that.
Yeah, but it's not that long. It's still the same length as, I know a lot of people that are up to book 3, and it only came out this summer, so they're up to like level 7, and it goes up to level 10, 11.
Right.
So people are they're going through it fast. And that's the other thing, is that there's a lot of, it's funny because there's this area with ships, and I just have it, you go from A to B. Like you literally you can just do as much as you want, as little. I've seen people, they've bought extra supplements and they're adding all this ship, like tons of stuff on the sea. And I'm like, that is great, man. You get everything. Like, it's like, I didn't do that on purpose, because first of all, I could only I couldn't make it 500 pages. And also, I feel like that's one of those like travel mechanics. There's either something you love it or you hate it. So I'm like, I'm not putting it in there. You can add it if you want it. I have very basic travel mechanics where you can go fishing and find stuff, and that's it. And there's some like little role playing on the ship, but it's just enough to give you some flavor and to have you the feel of the ship. But other than that, there's a lot of options for that.
Yes, Jewel of the Indigo Isles came up during our Wild Sea first look, because people were like, we were talking about different ways that you could, like if you could retheme the adventure. People were joking about using the Wild Sea system and hacking Jewel of the Indigo Isles into the Wild Sea.
It would work.
So I want to put you on the spot here a little bit. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we can make these fairly broad. I'm not going to like set a line or something, but like, I would say like, good, okay, bad, predictions, D&D's launch, whatever they're calling it, 5th edition, 0.5, 6th edition, new edition, D&D 1, whatever term they're using nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You think it will be what level of success do you think it will be? Do you think it will be a good, high, low, disaster, unmitigated grand slam?
I think it's going to be a pretty high success. First, the art looks insane. Like, okay. Even when I was at PAX and they showed the art, I was like, damn. I was like, that is impressive. And that goes a long way to sell, especially to people that are new to role-playing games and are going to buy this, so it feels like it's very impressive. You need really, 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 really strong art, and that art is just so impressive. People thought it was AI. I mean, it's very good art. Look, it's got the cachet. If they're smart and they work with the book publishers and they work with the Barnes and Nobles and they work with the game stores and they really, you know, do their A+ launch, and, you know, say what you want about Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering, they did a pretty good launch. Not perfect, but pretty good launch. They got the word out. Yeah. And it sold extremely well. Like, I think it's the best-selling set ever. So
close to it. I mean, it wasn't even that really particularly that great of a set, but like between the One Ring hype and the Chase card and they got Frodo, but you know, they had Elijah Wood coming in at the Frodo, and you know, so yeah, they did it right. I mean, Hasbro knows how to market. But,
yeah, I mean, I think they can market it. And what's more interesting, and then you can go, is that keep in mind they're going to be doing this. There's 3 books plus adventures, so it's like, where's the cutoff? Like, you know, the Player's Handbook might do great, but what about the Dungeon Masters Guild? What about their adventures they're coming out with? Like, you know, like what is what?
I consider the core 3 to be the Trinity, you know, to be like sort of the benchmark.
I think it's going to do look, everyone was betting against. I keep thinking of this. I keep thinking of, like, when it came down to it, there's the Harry Potter video game that came out last year. It's one of the best selling, if not it's one of the top selling games of the year, period. It made a ton of money. It's made an obscene amount of money. There was a lot of people who were protesting it. There was a lot of people who didn't want to buy it. You know what? The game ended up being very good. It looked great, and it sold insane.
For every one person online, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Reddit, who is shouting down about how they are never going to give D&D their money again, there are 30 people happily going to continue to give D&D their money.
Yeah. And I guarantee they're going to have a big thing on Amazon. And, you know, when the push comes to shove, if the reviews start out good and it starts off strong, it's going to do really, really well. What will be interesting is they have to really be perfect up to then. There can't be any firings. There can't be any AI scandals. You know, they got to make sure they have all their ducks in a row. Like, everything has to be perfect.
They did get rid of Mike Merles, and the community has hated him for a long time.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't on D&D anymore, but
but the point is that, look, I think it's going to be, first of all, the Player's Handbook always sells incredibly well. So, I mean, it's the best-selling product, period. I think it's going to do very well. I mean, I think it's coming out in when was it? May. I think it's coming out in May.
But isn't that like that rumor, and then they took it down?
Well, it came out. Well, I'm going to do a video on that because I explain how, because I figured out how they're going to do it, and I have a little bit of inside knowledge. So it's coming. It's coming out in May.
Will it launch with the virtual tabletop?
Now, that's interesting because I met with them and I spoke to them, and they said it's more or less, it's going to be ready by then. Like, they actually wanted to start public beta testing, real public testing in December, but they couldn't get their act together, so that's why they did it at PAX. But they said it's ready to go, and it definitely looked, it was like a final to near final beta state, which is really far. Now, they still have things like the storefront. You know what it's going to be like? Remember when the iPhone launched? And the iPhone, when it launched, was just an iPhone. And then slowly they started to add more stuff. And then they added the store and they kept adding. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to launch, but it's going to still be pretty basic. And they'll probably have like their own content in there. And that's it. And a link with D&D Beyond, because it actually does right now. And then we might see the storefront. But I don't think we're going to see the storefront until later in the year. And then 2024, 2025, by Christmas, then they're going to start putting in all the microtransactions, the add-ons, and so forth.
Sure.
I mean, I know for a fact. I mean, I know, I can't say, but I know the people working on it. I talk to people in the meetings. I know for a fact what they're doing. I don't know timing, but I literally know these people who are working on the software development, on the storefront, who are in those meetings. And the funny thing is, when he was in the meeting, he told me that he went to the meeting, and this is with the top executives, and he pulled up his computer, and on his computer was YouTube, and right there was Roll for Combat on the YouTube, and they all looked at him and says, I guess we know where you stand, or something to that effect. And he's like, sorry.
So
glorious.
Yeah. So, all right. So D&D success, riding on the coattail. But do you think it will? Now, I don't know how. Actually, I don't know how experienced you are with 5th edition.
Not like Pathfinder, where
Do you think it will be a better edition of D&D?
Yes, I do think it's going to be better because they are fine tuning it, and from everyone I've been talking to, they're very impressed with what they've been doing, and they're interesting. I always find it fascinating because what they do is they don't release new classes, they don't release new spells, they don't release anything, they don't release enough splat, like they just release adventures, which I always thought was the weirdest thing to release, because I'm like, 1 out of every 5 or 6 people buys adventures. Why are you only releasing adventures? That's like the not the worst thing, but like, shouldn't you be releasing like new core books, like if you really want to sell things? And I think they are redesigning the game in the way that Pathfinder was designed. So Pathfinder is phenomenally modular and is designed specifically for like endless add-ons. Like you could just add to Pathfinder forever and it should stay very well balanced. I have a feeling they're trying to move towards that because A, they hired half the freaking Paizo Pathfinder's team literally is working on it. I mean, I know them all and they're all there working. So that's one thing. 2, when I was reading these play tests, and I said this months ago, I can feel the Pathfinder influence in those. Like, I read them, I felt it. Like, I felt Pathfinder in there, and with the people changing some of the DNA of D&D. I saw them doing it. And I have a feeling just the whole thing with the virtual table is that you can only get so far selling adventure paths. Yeah. So you need to start making it friendlier to splat and crunch, where you can add more weapons, more spells, more character concepts and character abilities. And its current version, it doesn't support that very well. So I have a feeling if they do their job right, that it's going to end up closer to Pathfinder than a lot of people think. And
so I have a funny observation about that. I have a funny observation about that. This is so coming from someone like me who obviously plays, a lot of RPGs. Me and people in my community, or people in the indie game community, when I see a mechanic or a game system that I really love, and then a new game system comes out and they say, yeah, we're using that other system's resolution mechanic, or we're taking clocks from Blades in the Dark and we're kind of making, we get excited, right? Because we're like, we love that mechanic. Why wouldn't I want to see that mechanic in another game? I have noticed that when to your description, when things have come out about the new edition of D&D, I've seen people, Pathfinder players, be like, they're just stealing that from Pathfinder. And they're like mad about it. And I'm like, well, wait, do you think that that's a good game mechanic? And they're like, yeah, it's way better. And I'm like, well, then why would you not want them to use it?
Or why don't you just play Pathfinder then?
Yeah, but I'm just like, well, no, because it's its own unique game. I'm just saying, if a game has a good idea and other people learn and develop from that idea, isn't that a good thing?
What I always think of?
Isn't that supporting your idea that this game is?
Since you're imagining the player, like tap, and then like every single game has had tap since, and they all had to call it something different because no one else can call it tap. But it's like, they nailed it on their first try, and it's such a good game mechanic of tapping that everyone had to do it. And what else are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to tap your cards? Are you going to flip them or something? You're going to tap them because that was a good game mechanic that everyone copied and will copy forever, it seems, until another amazing mechanic comes along.
So I see a lot of things in chat about financial success. You've done a lot of things about Hasbro. So let's talk. Let's do another prediction. As we sit here prior to market open tomorrow, markets have been closed for a couple days. Hasbro is sitting at $51.06 a share. Mm-hmm. That is near its 5-year low.
It was down to like 42.
It reached like 40 something. Yeah. But 51 is still pretty damn low. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously in the heights before the pandemic, it was up to $120 a share. Then after the pandemic, initially kind of everybody was shit. It bounced back up to about $100. So it has dropped down about half from where it was in that post-pandemic boom. Right now, today, if I were to say I'm going to take $10,000 and I'm going to put my money in the market on Hasbro, would you buy or would you sell? Would you short?
I went short because they fired. Someone's like they fired 30% of their staff. First of all, to answer your question, Dr. Wyatt's 98% of that staff was not WoTC, if you include the 30%. They only fired, from what we could tell, about 30 to 40 WoTC employees, maybe 50. So of those 1,900 employees they fired, only 30, 40, 50 of them were from WoTC. So almost all of them from like toy divisions and other divisions. So that's how they're able to do that. As for, strangely, like once they fired everyone, the stock went down, but it started to go back up because they're cutting costs.
All right. That's the emotional reaction.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's the, their bottom line got better.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And then
I'll tell you the biggest
oh.
problem. So the biggest problem with Hasbro is they have a huge amount of debt. They have like $3.5-4 billion in debt. Debt will kill you because they have to constantly pay that back. They borrowed money. I know,
but to do what? To make like payroll? Like what are we talking about?
Who knows? I meant
like
to buy E1 probably.
No, it's like expansion.
Yeah. I mean, most companies have debt because they use it as short-term financing if they need cash. And if you don't have cash, because these companies don't usually have that much cash in the books, unless you're like Apple or something, or like Google, they just don't have that much cash. So they constantly borrow to literally make payroll, and to literally, to use cash for what it's for, which is like to spend things immediately as opposed to long-term cash. So the biggest problem is that they have to constantly pay that off, and they're always having to pay off and pay that down. So it's hard to say. I think it's going to be flat. I don't think it's going to go up or down, at least for a while. I don't think it's going to go. I don't think it's going to go down much. And if it does, it's going to be, like you said, 40 to 50. 40 to 50 is like what's that? Like a 15% increase. Like that's a big increase. Like percentage wise, it's a huge amount. Like number wise, it's not a lot, but that's a big increase. And if it goes from 80, then it's 100% increase from where it was. So like those numbers at those levels, like it goes to 60, it literally ran up 50% from where it was its low. So long story short, I think it's flat. Even if D&D is successful.
Maybe I'll YOLO and buy some call options and just,
Well, here's the thing. It's going to take them a while before the money train really starts cranking. And if it does well, and if the VTT does well, and if D&D, online, whatever they call it, D&D Beyond, if it does really, really well, it's it can start bringing a lot of money in. So it's one of those like long-term, like if you put it this way, it probably won't go much lower. And I'll tell you why. It might go down to it might go down as low as the 40s or even the 30s, but then that's going to stop because there's intrinsic value. And second of all, just the names, they can sell for a lot of money if they needed to. And then at that point, I would see hostile takeover. Like, it's like, man, this thing is so low, someone's going to scoop them up. I mean, someone would start looking at buying them. We don't know who, but someone could, because it's just, there's too much names, there's too much value. Even just Magic alone is worth, that's worth over $1 billion. And it's like, wait a second, the company's literally, if it's down to 30, I think the company will literally be worth only like $3 billion, and then, or it's worth probably about $5 billion to minus, it's probably worth like $2 billion right there. And it's like, okay, Magic alone is worth that. It's almost worth buying just for Magic, and that's what happens when it gets to those levels. And plus, right, they do pay a dividend, which is a fair amount. And the projected savings from layoffs are about, now it was not 85 million. From what I saw, it was $500 million that they were going to save from layoffs.
Wait, that seems no, there's no way it's $500 million over 1 year.
I'll take a look at the articles. They said it was estimated that layoffs would save them. I believe I'm going from memory. It was like 300 to 400 or 500 million.
Wow,
But
a year.
yeah, well, they pay. Here's the thing that no one talks about. Hasbro pays like they don't pay well. They don't pay really well. They pay astronomically well. Like,
I know. I've had some. I know some people personally who have worked for Wizards R&D or various components of that. And they said that they were taken care of pretty nicely.
No, you make high six figures. Like you make bank. Like you work on D&D, you can make $150,000-$200,000 easy, and then and full benefits. So, and some people can work from home now. You remove a lot of those now. A lot of people they removed probably weren't making that, but they pay very, very high. And don't underestimate benefits. Benefits are about 30 to 40% of the salary right there. So they're saving hundreds of millions. They let off 30% of the workforce. That's probably $500 million easily. So, by the way, all that stuff, I keep hearing people talk about upper management. Look, they get those in stock options. Yes, Chris Cox was paid, what, $1.5 million in his salary. The rest of it's stock options. It doesn't affect the bottom line directly. People are simplifying it. I won't get into all the math, but it's not as simple as you think. It's not like, oh, we'll just fire him and we'll save, he was supposed to make $8 million and now we fire him. Now we save $8 million. It's like, no, you actually save $1 million. Or 1.5 million, and someone still needs to do the job, and the only person who's going to do that job is going to have to make that much money. It's like you can't fire him and then free up the money. You have to replace him with someone who will get the same or similar salary. So it is going to be a net gain of zero. I always hear that it's like in baseball world, because I'm a big baseball fan. People are like, oh, we could just trade Derek Jeter and for like 3 nobodies. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
It worked for Billy Bean.
It did work for Billy Bean. But the point is, you have to have value for value. And if you're going to get, you have to get another CEO. Okay, if you fire Chris Cox, great. Who's replacing him and how much are you paying them?
Right.
And it's going to be the same salary, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Moving on from Hasbro, more predictions. All right, let's put this way. Give me a percentage. What is the percent chance that we'll go with Daggerheart? Topple is a strong word. What is the percent chance that Daggerheart actually makes a good crater-sized impact into the D&D bottom line or to the B&D player base and really legitimately, in almost a kind of Paizo, Pathfinder 1 era, kind of to move, right? Where 4th edition D&D came out a year later, 6 months later, Paizo released Pathfinder 1 and it was seismic, and people still debate to this day, did Paizo outsell Wizards of the Coast during that era? Regardless of whether they did or not, you cannot deny the fact that that was just a tremendous impact. So what percent chance does Daggerheart have of that kind of size of impact? Where like the ICV2 data shows, Daggerheart D&D player's handbook,
1%.
Okay. Very low, very, very low. So not 0, but 1%. Okay.
It's not 0, but I'll tell you why. Because
are there any of the games that we talked about at the beginning of that 15?
Yes. There's one.
The Stormlight?
Yes. It's 2.
Yeah. Okay, 2. Okay. Which ones?
Stormlight and Gloomhaven.
Ooh, now that's a spicy take. Okay. Explain. Where are you coming from?
So, again, I'm going back video games, is that there's a very interesting thing.
It's all conjecture. This is all based off of your personal information. Yeah.
Yes, but I'm always right. Or nearly always right.
Mark the words.
I usually am. Well, I'll tell you why. So there's a fascinating thing going on with Starfield right now. And Starfield is...
I don't know what that is.
Starfield is the latest game from Bethesda Studios.
Oh, okay.
And it went through a very slow motion train wreck where when it first came out, it was getting 9s and 8s. But then it was getting 7s. And then it went on to Steam. And it went from the, positive to mostly positive to slightly negative to mostly negative. It's gone from like, it's literally going down. And it's because not only is it not a great game, which is a whole other story, but if you try to find out what the support is of the game, people aren't making mods for it. People aren't talking about it, except in negative tones. Like there's no community around the game. Now you take a game like Baldur's Gate 3. You type in Baldur's Gate 3 in YouTube and you'll get 10 million results because people just are talking about that game and they love that game. And the community around that game is massive.
Mostly from D&D content creators who realize that talking about Baldur's Gate 3 is way better than getting them views than talking about D&D.
No kidding. But the point is that the reason why Pathfinder is so successful is because the amount of support material for Pathfinder is infinite. Okay? I mean, it's like there's just so much to go with it. And that's one of the things about like Shadow Dark Kelsey did, is that it comes with the book and it comes with all this adventures and materials enough to at least get you going. And there's a huge community where you can just find a lot of stuff. So it's not done in a vacuum. Goodman Games does the same thing with DCC.
You don't think that Daggerheart couldn't do that?
Are they doing it though?
Or that the community will do it?
Yeah, you don't want the community. It's like, it's rare for that. And it takes years. I think
people love Critical Role.
Critical Role's actually been way down for season 3.
You met the man, the myth, the legend.
I know, he was. But Critical Role's been way down, by the way, in season 3.
What do you mean way down? Oh, you mean like
the
viewers?
ratings? Yeah, it's like way down. The viewership's way down. I have a feeling.
I don't watch Critical Role. I watched a handful of season 1 and like 2-3 episodes of season 2. And I haven't seen the animated series. Anybody in chat who is a critter
animated series is fantastic, by the way,
and is watching season 3. What is it about season 3 that has? Because I've heard the same thing. I've seen the numbers.
I know.
Oh, you know why? Okay.
Well, it's
you know everything.
Well, no, because I know a lot. Well, supposedly from what I've been hearing, I've been reading it, is that the most popular character I think last season was Jackster. I forgot how it's pronounced, but she was very crazy and goofy and loony, and everyone loves that character. But you can only have one of them. And this year, everyone is kooky. Everyone's crazy jester. Everyone's kooky and crazy. And they're derailing the adventure all the time. And it's so disjointed and so goofy. And everyone is trying to be jester. And it's just too hard. It's like they're not getting anywhere.
You know what it's like? It's like a show like Big Bang Theory. When it first came out, like the first season or 2, I enjoyed it because it was just like the characters were just nerds. But then they like became caricatures of themselves, right? This happens at like Steve Urkel. This happened like Family Matters, right? Where they start off as like, oh, it's the nerdy kid. But then they like double down on that. And then they like triple down on that. And then they like quadruple down on that. And they end up becoming like, and then you watch the show at the end of the show and you go, this isn't even close to anything resembling real life. It is an absurd, completely nonsense story because these characters are so over the top and so crazy. Yeah. So I wonder if that's like a victim of their own success in that way.
Because everyone likes to play that character. Everyone likes to play the crazy zany character, and everyone loved that character. And you need to balance it out, especially if you're a show. Like, okay, if you're a home game, that's one thing, but this is a show. And back to Dan Harmon, the super genius, probably one of the best, if not the best television showrunners ever. Like, Community is a... I mean,
you're going to tell me Community is... Well, some of the seasons were a little sus, but
no. I'm talking about overall. I'm not talking about individual episodes. I'm talking about like he did... Like, you would listen to him, and he would be like, oh, you need to have everyone have different color hair. You can't have 2 blonde females or 2 blonde males. Like, you need everyone to specifically have their own role. And he would explain, like, everyone had a role. Everyone had a very clearly defined role that didn't overlap with anyone else, because that is what you need for a successful series. And he goes into extreme detail, like even more so, way more so than even like Rick and Morty, which is a different dynamic. But Community is incredible when you see how well they have each of the different roles played out.
You don't think Matt Mercer and his crew know that?
They do, but somehow they thought, let's triple down on the goofy, and it just is too much goofy. And I just don't know. I don't watch it enough, but everyone I've spoken to says that it's just really disjointed and it's hard to latch onto these characters.
Now, Space Narwhal says what I've kind of always felt like, right? The first season was something authentic that they created just over time for the love of the game. And then every season since then has been them trying too hard to recapture lightning in a bottle. You know, I sometimes look at Critical Role and I wonder if it's not a bit like 5th edition D&D itself, where the creators themselves don't fully understand how or why they created what they did. All they know is that it struck the right chord and they've been able to, milk that cow.
It's not live anymore. And that also,
flanderization.
That's a big deal. Like, there's an energy to watching a live show, like Saturday Night Live, or back in the day when there was a lot more live TV. It's like there's an energy to it because you're like, wow, who knows what's going to happen? Because no one does. Now it's pre-scripted. It's all like pre-canned.
Yeah, no, Rude Groat. I forgot that in season 3, right? They're doing this thing where basically you could imagine the voice actors are probably getting together for a couple of days and once a month.
Yeah,
and they're filming all the episodes, and then they can go off and do other projects.
Yeah. Of course.
And then they collect a paycheck for the rest of the month. Yeah. I forgot that they did that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I that actually makes a big deal. I think that makes I could see where that could be very, the lack of difference in feeling part of that energy.
It's I definitely feel like, you know what? It's funny because I don't even watch them, but when I heard Strange, and this is just a weird thing, it's like when I saw that, it's not live anymore. Well, I can watch this whenever I want. It felt like it's already pre-canned, so I'm not missing anything. And then if I can
watch it whenever I can want, I just end up not watching it.
Exactly. And when you have a live show and live interaction, and there's just something about it, and it's hard to. It's also something crazy goes on.
Okay.
You'll be watching it live, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And you're just like, you don't even know, and everyone's excited and typing. And
new prediction, 2024.
Yeah.
What does Critical Role do? Do they launch a new campaign?
Well, no. They're going to have to because this one's close to wrapping up.
That's what I'm saying. So what are they going to do?
No, it's going to be. I have a feeling do
they take a year off?
No.
Do they launch with the new edition of D&D?
No.
Do they do Daggerheart?
Yes, they do Daggerheart. So they don't launch with D&D because they've been walking away from D&D unless a caveat with that, unless they signed a big deal with Hasbro to really talk about D&D 2024, which I give a 50-50 chance to. I have a 50-50 chance that they had a secret deal and that we're going to find out season 4.
Here's $100 million, just
not
play our game.
Not million, but a couple million.
50 million?
No, not even 50.
Not even 10?
No, 5.
5. That's how much you pay?
Well, they can figure it out.
If you were the CEO of Hasbro,
I know. Well, I'll put it this way. I know how much it costs. Wait. So right now, I don't know what it is now, but last year it was $60,000 for one ad break on Critical Role, and I think they have 4 ad breaks. So we'll just call it $250,000 per Critical Role.
And then
so that's $1 million a month.
Well, no, they're doing 3 episodes a month, but
what? Oh, okay.
They do 3 episodes.
But
whatever. They have subs. They have some other merchandise and other plugs. We'll call it $1 million a month. Okay, $1 million.
We'll say $1 million. Plus, they up their it's D&D. They're going to up it. So we'll say $1 million a month. If they're going to plug it for how long is a season? A season 5-6 months. It's $5 million, $6 million.
Yeah, I think it's longer than that, right?
Yeah. Well, they would have it set. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen. If I got paid $1 million a month to play D&D, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, but they get divided up amongst 7 people.
Boo-hoo. You only get $100,000 a month. Oh, I mean, yeah, they've got a cast and crew, but trust me, I'll take when all said and done, it's like, I get $50,000 a month to play D&D.
Yeah. Well, you get what I'm getting at. It's not all like, you get to keep it all. It's like, you don't get to keep it all. And it goes to their agents. Agent gets 10%, and then they have to it goes pretty quick. If anything, what they do is they'll say,
at no point there is no words that you are going to say that is ever going to make me feel badly for those people.
No, I'm not going to feel bad. But what would end up happening if they're really smart is, and these guys are very smart, is you do $500 million plus all production costs, and that way it goes right to them.
Right,
and
there
then they
you go.
make all that money, and then they figure it out. But anyhow, the point is that's not inaccurate. Maybe 7, 8, maybe even 10, but a fair amount, and it's probably worth it because they can figure out how much it's going to take, and if they continuously promote the books endlessly, that I'd say it's a 50-50 chance. But I also say it's going to also be Daggerheart because that's free and it doesn't cost them. They don't make any money,
Right.
and
Unless, well, they do if people go and buy their game.
yeah, but there's a lot of, I don't know what the division. I guess it's their own company who publishes it.
Yeah, Darrington. Yeah.
If they were smart, they would do Daggerheart, but they might have done D&D. I guess we'll find out.
I guess it comes down to what they're trying to do with the production of this Daggerheart game.
Yeah, it's true.
Are they trying to go for the throne, or are they just like, we got money to throw
I thought they were
projects.
going for the throne, but I don't know because they've changed it. So Bob played it, and he said it's completely different when he played it than what was shown at Gen Con. And that worries me because I'm like, when is this game coming out? I'm like, it's just like time is running out, man. Like, how different can you make it? You got to print up these books, man. It takes a long time.
If not Daggerheart, is there any other game? You said the other one could be
2.
You said 2. So
Stormlight.
And
Brandon Sanderson and Gloomhaven and
Gloomhaven. So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Stormlight first. So we talked about it before, but Stormlight, dude, it's Brandon Sanderson. He is the most successful Kickstarter in the history of the world.
Everybody knows the Kickstarter. Listen, I'm not a Sanderson fan. I love what he did for Wheel of Time, and I thank him for that. I thought he did a great job of it. And I'll be honest with you, after the last couple of books, I was a little tired of Robert Jordan's writing style, so it was nice to actually get Sanderson. I tried to do Mistborn. I bounced off of it. I tried to do the other one, Way of Kings. Is that Mistborn?
Way of Kings. No,
okay.
Mistborn's different. Way of Kings is, by the way,
Kings,
my favorite book of all time.
Okay. I even bought the audio book for Way of Kings. So I was like,
maybe I can just listen. Really good.
Maybe I can just listen to
long,
it.
Though.
and I still could do it. So anyways,
it's long.
I bounced off of, but it's fine. But even I watched that Kickstarter or that release video, and I was like, this guy is what a pimp. Like what a way to come out here and be like, I have a confession to make.
He was so good.
I wrote a novel. Actually, I've been lying to you. I wrote 2 novels.
All right, I know.
Actually,
he kept going. It was so well done. It was so well done.
He deserved, just incredible. And people love his worlds and they love his writing. It makes sense to me that you would want to do an RPG there.
So this is what I know, because I have, again, secrets, is that I know people interviewed for jobs there, and they told me that he is going to be contributing directly to the RPG in some capacity, and he's going to be expanding his worlds into the RPG, and people will buy it just for that because the Cosmere is awesome, and people love the Cosmere. Like, you want to talk about world building? Mm-hmm. Like, he is building his Cosmere, and the Cosmere is awesome.
But will the game be good? Like, will they buy it because they want to read the lore?
That's the caveat, is the game has to be good. So they have all the right material there. You have probably the most the Stephen King of fantasy, like the most popular fantasy author alive today. Period.
Yeah,
he is. Look at Amazon. Look at the sales. Look at the top 100s. How many of those are Sanderson? Him and George R. R. Martin, but George R. R. Martin's come and gone. That's his thing now.
Yeah, no, George R. R. Martin definitely fell off. Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. Yeah.
Well, he only made like 45 million on Kickstarter or whatever. But here's the thing. Everyone I spoke to, everyone, it's like, dude, he will never have this thing come out on time. He's like, do you know how hard it is to fulfill everything he did? Everything came out on time. Everything. Mind-boggling, okay? This guy can do no wrong. And I give him a lot, if not beyond full credit. He's the anti-WoTC. everything WoTC did right, he did no wrong. No wrong. And if there's anyone, and he's a gamer, and I mean hardcore gamer. He loves gaming. He loves Magic. He loves World of Warcraft. He gets it. I guarantee he's going to play this game. Now, whether or not he's a good game designer, I don't know, because that's a whole other story. But I guess we're going to see. And as long as the game is good, it's got everything else. It's got everything you would ever want. And you can't get any better than this. So, of all the games that is lined up to be the strongest launch of all of them.
Okay. I like this prediction. Now you did caveat that with the second one, which I kind of would have dismissed, but you brought in Gloomhaven, the RPG.
Well, Gloomhaven raised a lot of money too.
Right. Gloomhaven obviously was sort of a cultural phenomenon when it came out, and it was really funny to me that Gloomhaven was a cultural phenomenon because dungeon crawlers board games had been around for a long time. I grew up playing, well, not grew up, but like when I was a teen and in my early 20s, we used to get together and play Descent from Fantasy Flight Games. And Descent, anyone will tell you from Fantasy Flight Games, plays out a lot like Gloomhaven. The only exception is that Gloomhaven does not have a game master type character. Descent still had like the Overlord, right, who played the bad guys. But Gloomhaven was all procedural, it was all scripted, so it was all full co-op. But despite that, there were other games that kind of did something similar. Warhammer Quest from Games Workshop it had a random deck of events that you flipped over. Everybody was a player. I don't know why. I played Gloomhaven. I played two Gloomhaven campaigns, and we almost played one, Stephen. And then
I know I still want to play it.
Yeah, me too. And then Frosthaven, right? Which
we put Frosthaven when I want to play.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I didn't get a chance to play that, so that would have been really cool. But I still can't tell you why it was so
I have
popular.
an idea. The right place, right time. First of all, it was $99, if you remember.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, that is a lot for $99.
It's a huge box.
It's a huge box, and you're like $99. I'm an idiot not to buy it. It's like seriously, it's like, damn, man, that's insane. And that's what happened. It's like it just seemed like I mean I have 2 copies. How about that? That's how crazy I am.
That is very crazy.
Yeah. And it just there was something about it. It was just like, yes, there was Descent, but I don't know. It was Descent because you had a dungeon master with Descent, and like a lot of those games you're talking about, and like Warhammer Quest. Well, you got to go into the Warhammer. It's got Warhammer associated with it, and so if you don't like Warhammer, like this had no.
Right.
It had no attachments. It had no baggage. It was just this brand new world. It looked cool. The concept was cool. And they tied into the #1 game mechanic of all time for games. Do you know what that game mechanic is?
Hold on a sec.
#1 beats everything by a mile.
I'm trying to think of what cards?
Nope. #1 game mechanic of all time.
#1 game mechanic of all time.
Of all time.
Well,
ever.
it's probably like roll 2 dice and add them together.
Nope.
All right, you got me.
When they did research, Hasbro did tons of research to find out what was people's favorite part about playing a game. And they said, opening the box. That was their #1 favorite thing.
Iron Chestnut got it right. He said boxes.
Overwhelming. And that's when they came out with Risk Legacy. And Risk Legacy was the first, Legacy game. That's where it comes from. And that was a huge hit. I love Risk Legacy. Love that game. And it's so much fun. And you're always opening boxes. And people, it's like the crack. It's the magic crack. You know that crack well. Cracking those packs. There's nothing quite like it. And it's just...
Actually, it's funny that you say that.
Okay.
Because when I played Magic, what I would do is I would go to my store owner, my local store, and then when a new set was about to come out, he'd get boxes ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'd say, hey, I'll pay you $1,000. Just put together a set for me of 4 copies of every card in the new set. That way I don't ever have to open a pack of cards. And then he would give me like a 1,000 count long box,
right.
Like for trading cards.
Yeah.
And it would have written on there, the name of the set. And inside, in perfect order, 4 copies of every card from the new set. And I did that 4 times a year, just so I could have 4 copies of every card so I could play anything I wanted to play. Because I didn't care about cracking packs.
Yeah,
but I won't deny that having like the little boxes with the random, you unlocked a class and there's an envelope A and envelope B and envelope C.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
And I'm not, it was Rob Fabro, the guy who designed that his name? I think that's his name. The guy who designed Risk Legacy and who's like,
Oh.
the Legacy guy. I spoke to him and he basically said, like, he's had other talks. It's like that's it. It's like that was like, and it wasn't like a little bit better. It like was overwhelming. Like it was like beyond past anything even close. It was like 1 through 10 was opening the box, and like 11 was whatever the next mechanic was.
What a
So they built
weird,
games
like,
around that.
Like how horrible are these people that your favorite part of the game is opening it? And what, like that implies that it's more fun for the most people to punch out the components than it is to use them.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
People love it, man. People love it. But the point is that
I don't understand this community that I'm a part of.
And by the way, yes, I have played Hero Quest. I have played Warhammer Quest. I have the original Hero Quest box. Way back in the like 90s, I have it. But yes, I played it. But that is, and you know what? It was just like, it wasn't Risk Legacy, because Risk Legacy had stuff, but not like this. It's like $99, cool new world, dungeon crawling. Like I get hundreds of unique things, and I'm constantly opening, and like, oh my god, this is well worth $99.
So I'll put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven role-playing game comes out.
Yeah.
Will there be locked classes that are hidden?
Oh. Well, I don't know. I haven't been following it that much. I mean, I backed it. One of the things, and minis too, by the way. The other one was minis. People love minis more for these type of games than others. So
yeah, but it came. Gloomhaven had cardboard cutouts.
It had both. It had both.
I mean, for the PCs, it had the minis, but
no, you can. This is what they're doing for the role playing game. There's a version that has like every single monster. Everything is a mini. Everything. It's like 160 minis or something insane. Look, the lore is good. I mean, you played it twice, it's like the classes are cool, the lore is cool, the world is cool. Like they did a pretty good job with world building. I like those. I like those little rat guys.
Are they going to keep the whole like, oh, you have to play the game before? Like, is it going to become like an RPG, or is it going to become like Gloomhaven the RPG? You know what I mean? Like,
I can't answer that. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I know some of the people working on it, and they're RPG veterans. So if they're smart, they would probably put in some of that mechanics of, I wouldn't call it gatekeeping, but this is the way Paizo does it. So Paizo is genius in the uncommon and rare. I mean, Mark talked about this more than I can, because it allows the main point of uncommon and rarity in Pathfinder was to give GMs the permission to take things out of their game without upsetting anyone, and it works because people are like, oh, I want this insanely powerful spell. It's like, it's rare. You can't find it. You have
except powerful spells aren't rare.
Well,
in Pathfinder 2.
You know what I mean. But the point is the illusion of power. But the point is that by having it as an option, it's no longer fights with your GM.
But I would also imply the opposite, though, is a problem. Because you're right, but the opposite problem comes up too. Mm-hmm. When a GM wants to ban something that's common, players can feel like, well, why are you doing that?
Well,
obviously a GM could say, no, I'm not allowing Leshies. They're a common race. And someone goes, well, they're a common race now, so you have to let me play them. The game says so.
Yeah, you're right.
And a GM can say, no, the game says I could do whatever I want.
Right.
And then player would go, well, then why do they have it listed as common? Because they clearly are indicating that they want you to play it. And then that's going to create a frictional point there. Just saying.
My point is, but the point is that they can do that as a game mechanic, is that they can put in classes that are rare, and that the quote official way to play is that you need to hit these milestones before you can unlock these classes or abilities. But it's your game, and if you want, you could just go and do it. I mean,
all I'm going to say to you is Stephen, you and I need to design the world's first collectible TTRPG.
I already did.
No.
I mean, Eldamon.
No. I mean, in terms of like, you buy random packs. Like,
who said I didn't do that too?
And like,
who said I'm not working on that right now with Eldamon?
All right. Well, then, all right. Well, because someone shows up at a table and they're like, yeah, I spent $500 on my character, so I've got all this sick stuff.
They were trying to do that with Daggerheart. Because
Really?
remember they had all those cards, and they had the
Oh, sure.
cards. Yeah, but people hated it
I don't know why people hated it.
because it's too hard. Because you can't track your character because you can't like bring it with you because the cards are part of your character sheet, and so like you can't just wrap it up and go. You got to redo it every time. It's kind of a pain in the neck. I get why they did it. So if you do it, not that I'm going to tell them how to do game design, is that they're trying to hybrid a character sheet and a card game. And they went back to the character sheet. And like, you got to do one or the other. You can't do a hybrid. It's either cards as character, which you can do, but then now it's a very different game because then it's like Gloomhaven. It's like now you're playing Gloomhaven, which are cards as character if you think about it. Or you do it the way which is everyone else does, which is pen and paper. They're trying to do a hybrid. And unless they're going to come out with something where you have like these special sheets and you slide cards in to hold your, it becomes a whole deal. So, and it's also been shown the more, tchotchkes you have to add to a game, the less successful it's going to be. So,
Yeah, that is fairly true. I remember when Warhammer Fantasy 3rd Edition came out, that was the first one that used the weird Genesis dice, all the weird strange ones.
Oh yeah, you never want to do that.
And it had a ton of tchotchkes in it.
Yeah,
I liked it because I like the tchotchkes. Like when I play, it's like, I'll have like 3 little glass beads that represent my focus points, at the table, and I'll have, I like doing stuff like that. Like we hand out physical poker chips for hero points.
Well, that I do. I still do that. I have physical. That's just remember. But that's easy. That's like I have pennies. I literally have a bag of pennies in my dice bag, and I just hand them out. Which probably is like people could be like, I got pennies in my pocket right now.
Right. I have so many hero points.
But the thing about those two that I find is that both of them have the same thing. Actually, all three, Daggerheart, Starfinder, Daggerheart, Stormlight, and Gloomhaven, is that all of them have built-in audiences that aren't necessarily TTRPG audiences.
Got it. Yeah.
And all of them can now become something they're not. You're not stealing from anyone else. You're actually trying to make a new audience.
I also say that as someone who, at various times in my life has been a very avid board gamer, you get board gamers in here, they're going to come into the RPG hobby and be like, wow, this is so cheap.
You better believe it. That's another thing. I was like, they're going to be like, damn, this is cheap.
This is so cheap. Like, wait. I buy this book and then I play this game for how long? Like, what are you talking about? You're like, not board games are so expensive now.
Yeah, well, because cardboard went
$70, $80, $90. And like, you're lucky if you can get, 10 plays out of it.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is that people are so used to spending so much. So you get these people that are used to so much, and then they play it's those are the ones. Those are the most interesting ones. I'll tell you the other one, of course, which is boy, this is the dark horse that is gonna really could explode is the Starfinder 2nd edition. Which
Interesting.
Because they should have always done that. First of all, it's only going to play test, but like the Pathfinder system is so strong. I know you have issues with it, but the actual core mechanics is incredibly well done. Not that I have the guy who wrote it or anything. That's one of the main reasons I hired him. Is that it's so well done that why didn't they reskin it on the Starfinder in the first place? Because
just right out the bat.
Yeah, it was such a no-brainer because I'm like, wow, this is great, and it makes total sense because it's so easy to do. And then if they're really smart, they can GURPS this and like turn this into a Western RPG. You can turn it into anything you want to just use the Starfinder system. And I'm like,
it's interesting that you say that because I know a lot of people.
System.
I know a lot of people in my Patreon even, who are very convinced that a huge part of the identity of the Pathfinder game is Galarian. To the point where some people say that if you're not playing a Pathfinder game in Galarian, you're kind of not playing Pathfinder. And I've actually heard this response. I've heard this from several people. And so I don't know. And I think that is horrible reasoning because I think it is a very generic system. But it's interesting because I think about the idea of Pathfinder as a generic RPG. But I wonder how much Pathfinder, the name, the game, the system, is connected with fantasy Galarian versus a sort of more generic GURPS like, that you say?
Well, okay, two things or three things. First of all, I played Starfinder from levels 1 to 20. Not 1 to 20, 1 to 13. We played Dead Suns from the beginning to end. So I have hundreds of sessions of Starfinder under my belt. So I played it enough. Okay, I mean, I don't play it anymore, but I know the system.
That's a good enough that you've played it.
Yeah, I played it enough. And the thing is, it is Galarian. It's Galarian in the future. So they have the best of both worlds. They actually are. Starfinder is Galarian, and they lead into it. And they have all the same gods. They have. It's like.
Well, right, but do you think that's a strength?
Yes, because it's all a little different. And I love that. I love that everything in there, but it's weird. And it's like two versions. Like, how you ever get something like it's like a variant card in Magic. It's like, oh, you got the same card and I got the variant. And you play that variant because you like the art a little bit more than the regular card.
Well, and that's my point, though, that at that point, then the differences between the games is just flavor and kitsch,
But it is. It always was. I mean, like, Starfinder is super... Well, one of the big reasons that Starfinder is so successful is that so many of these other science fiction games were hard science fiction. And it's funny, because I was there at the beginning, and the beginning, you could see, like, they were like, are we hard science fiction?
Oh, yeah,
Or
I saw that
science weirds fiction?
I never played... science fantasy is what
science
I call
fantasy,
it.
Right.
Yeah, because I never played Starfinder, but I obviously it was, it was the big book that came out the one year at Gen Con, and I own the original Starfinder 1 core book. But originally it was like, I was like, this has Traveler vibes, right? This has kind of a hard sci-fi edge. But then as the game line continued, it seemed like they
got goofier and goofier.
They're like, they want to more go into the science fantasy.
Yeah, they had like the space otters and the space walruses, and I was like, oh, they're going full space goofy, and people loved it. And I'm gonna tell you, I think we were helpful and responsible for creating one of the genre themes of all of Starfinder. Is that Bob Marquis, probably one of the best role players in the entire world, who quit Roll for Combat because he didn't like playing in a podcast. And he played an operative. He played Rusty. It was basically an operative, and he called him, he was Brad Pitt. He basically was Brad Pitt from Ocean's 11. Yeah.
Rusty.
Rusty. So, and the coolest thing about his character is that the operative was written to be like James Bond. It was written to be really cool. But he decided to play Rusty as kind of a snarky, who's an opposite of a James Bond in the spy world. But he was
Austin Powers.
not quite Austin Powers, but he was more of a snarky, kind of annoying, kind of like funny, goofy operative, and he was like Rusty. He was actually very much like Rusty. You know how Rusty was in this Ocean's 11? Like, he had that dry humor, and he was just always like had like a knowing smile, and he was doing a little bit more than you, and he was incredibly charismatic. So it wasn't Austin Powers, and it wasn't James Bond. It was Rusty. I mean, it literally was like Rusty from the Ocean's 11 movie. And everyone I know who played an operative played it exactly like that. I was like, wow, I wonder if people... it either naturally became that way to play an operative, even though he didn't write it that way, or the people listened to Bob play because he did such a good job playing him that people were like, oh my God, that is the way to play an operative. And everyone just did.
Well, needless to say, that is not the way I would play an operative, but
the coolest thing about his character was, God, I'm going to pat myself on the back. How about this? What do you think of this? He was on an asteroid, and he had to go down this like hall in the asteroid, and so he was out of contact with everyone, and he ended up dying, and no one knew it. But then in Starfinder, there's the undead. They're an actual race, and you can play an undead in Starfinder. So he died, but then we brought him back to life. But there's a serum that lets you change your appearance, and it's like 10 gold. It's like nothing. So for the rest of the adventure, this is like at level 2 or 3, he was playing himself, but we were secretly having him play a different character race because he was really undead. And only later, when they went to the undead planet, and I had not Linda, I had Amanda Hammond come on, and because she wrote the adventure, and she outed him as an undead because the other undead smelled the undead on him. And the rest of the characters, and this is after like 2 years, they're like, I knew it. There was something wrong about you all. They're all like, the secret was held for years, and nobody knew.
That's a pretty long con. I'll give you some props for that one.
Well, the funny thing is, everyone who listened to the podcast knew, but none of the players knew. No one
interesting.
knew.
Interesting.
And they didn't know. And they were like, oh, man, that explains. And then they're one of those like, that explains so much. Because there's always something a little off by it.
Your players didn't read the comments or anything? Or
No, they don't care. Dude, they don't even know they barely know what's going on in their own game, let alone reading comments.
Trust me, buddy, I've been there. Okay, I have been there. Hey guys, we got a game that's going to be live on television, like to tens of thousands of people potentially. Oh man, yeah, all right, I'll head over right now. I kind of forgot about it. Oh well, that's great.
Dude,
what game are we playing in?
The beginning of every one of my games is, What happened? What are we doing? Why are we here? I'm like, every goddamn week. Except for Jason. Thank God. Jason has like the ironclad steel memory and knows everything. He will bring back, like, they'll say, oh yeah, I remember that from session 2. He said this thing. And I'm like, thank God, Jason, because I don't even remember that. He's the one. You need one of those.
What's the Ferengi rule of acquisition?
Which one? There's so many.
Yeah, I know.
Like
good customers are as rare as latinum.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Good customers are as rare as latinum. Treasure them. I will do a change of that. Good players are as rare as latinum. Good players are as rare as gold. Treasure them. So for sure.
Yeah, Bob. Oh God, Bob is so good, but he did not want to play.
Because you know what? Gary in some ways had it right. There's always that one character, that one player, who is just sort of the leader of the group. The one who kind of herds the cats and remembers what the game is about and kind of shepherds everybody. And if you don't have that player at your table, then all that responsibility falls onto the GM, who is also trying to run the game.
Yep.
And that's when you can just get this sort of overload.
Yeah, no, it's too much. But back to what we were saying is that, Starfinder, I think it already has. If you play Starfinder, it's full Galarian.
Yeah, all I've seen people say is oh, it's completely compatible. Sick. I'm going to be a psychic soldier, or I'm going to be.
That's the cool thing. You'll be able to mix it.
I'm going to be an operative war priest druid.
In theory, it should be able to work.
I mean, okay.
Hey man, I love that.
I mean, you know what? The standard Pathfinder 2 party can't already look any weirder. Why not just throw some aliens in there anyways?
Hey,
you've already got androids and
angels and devils and gargoyles and demons,
angels and devils and
dragons,
Medusa people. And, but yeah,
Steno. Hey man, look. People like it, and more importantly, it's a good system, and it's very smart. It's very smart for them to use the same system for both games.
I guess what my mistake on it is, okay, these are basically then I already have the rules to Pathfinder 2. I don't need more rules for Pathfinder 2 that are just reprinted. And what you're basically giving me is just some more classes and a couple more ancestries, maybe, because the rules aren't going to change.
New weapons, new monsters.
Yeah, but new gear and new weapons. If it's compatible with Pathfinder 2, spells. you know as well as I do. There's only so many times you can go to that well. Hey, let me just take some random. If I worked at Paizo, I would have an app that would just take random combinations of traits and stick them onto a damage die and be like, and this is your new weapon, because it doesn't seem to matter. It's just a bunch of they just pull stuff out of their butt.
Out of their butt.
Jimmy Rapine, weapons or flavor. Yeah, and I guess anyways.
Use the weapons or flavor wrong. Use the monster part system and your weapons become player characters, and it changes it. Sure. The game will not remain the same.
Well, the thing that I like about the monster part system, even if you don't really like the monster part system, which is fine, but is it leads to more diegetic play. And we talk about this a lot on our stream, right? The idea of like that the things that are happening in the game influence the game. And that might seem really strange to you, but like, or to some people, but like the idea is like, hey, remember that adventure where we went and fought a bunch of undead? And then after the adventure was over, I bought a +1 flaming longsword. And it's like, hey, remember that adventure where we fought a bunch of like fey creatures? And then afterwards I went and bought a +1 flaming longsword. Whatever we did in that adventure didn't really affect what feat I was going to take, what magical item I was going to buy. I was always going to buy the same. That adventure was just an excuse to give me the experience points and treasure to get to the next thing that I already wanted for my character. Whereas the monster part system encourages a more in-game narrative diegetic progression, where if your character goes and fights the Fae, then their weapon may not be a +1 flaming sword because that's not what was available. That's not the energies of the Fae, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that is where that, to me, is very compelling as a GM. That's the kind of game that I like to run, right? Where the events of the adventure, of the campaign, set the tone, and not only set the tone, but set the mechanics. And because, again, I said this many times before, I hate the idea of playing path builder, where a person sits down to play in your campaign and they know these are the feats and the items and the whatever I'm going to have at level 5 and 10 and 15 and 20. I hate that. I know that that's how a lot of people like to play. And I know
you don't play that in my game because I kill your characters halfway. I make your characters break and then you have to rebuild them. And every one of my players know that.
Right, which and your players know what they're getting in for. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who want to play Path Builder. I'm saying it's not for me.
I don't let them do that.
And so, you know, when players come into a game and it's like, man, you don't know the choices and the decisions and the consequences and the rewards that you are getting from playing the game. From
themselves because I've seen them do that, and then I'm like I kill off Bob's character. He had to go in a totally different direction. My friend Chris, he built a monk. And he had it all planned out. And then like at level 1 or level 2, he got this like Jomali Heaven Seeker, which is a brand new path. And he's like, oh my God. And he completely redid his character, you know, because he's like, I never even knew this existed. I'm like, yeah, he got it in the game. And then he had to redo it. And then everything changed. Like, I always do that. I always give them things in the game that affect their character in massive ways, like to change their class or change their abilities. I had in Pathfinder First Edition, Jason drank, there was the Numerian fluid. And I still talk about this. It was 1 in a 10,000 chance, and he freaking rolled it. Or no, 1 in 1,000 or 10,000. It was 1 out of 100, and he rolls 100. And I'm like, oh baby, that's a subtable now. And then it was like, okay, the subtable's 1 to 10. And if you roll a 10, I think it was 1. I think it was the other way. I don't remember. But anyhow, you roll a 1, you're God. But he rolled a 2, which was the next best thing, which actually is better than God. He became a mutant. And becoming a mutant, the mutant template gave you 2 of your attributes became +6, and 1 became minus, it was either 4 or either -2 or -4. And he became Bane, literally Bane from Batman. And his character went in a very different direction after that.
Right.
Like,
and you know what? I'm here for it. Again, I know that's not for everybody, but I'll tell you, as both a player and a GM, I'm here for it. I love that stuff. It's a reason why in old day, I liked random magical items.
It's my favorite part of the game. And people know that. I love that.
I mean, and now you really don't get those tables anymore.
Oh, you got them in my books. You got them in my books.
Another reason to go ahead and take advantage of that Roll for Combat sale.
Tiger Eyes wants to know, the monster parts are in Battlezoo Bestiary, both of them. There's actually a bundle, and it's on sale. If you want to get Battlezoo Bestiary and Battlezoo Bestiary Strange and Unusual, books are out now. If you buy it will ship. And here is Strange and Unusual. Ooh, now that is covered. Damn, that cover looks good. And look at that inside art. Look at that. Look at that plate. Look how old school that is, man. Look at that thing. And anyhow, the thing about the monster parts, which you didn't even talk about, is so one of the early things that we added, which almost everyone takes, is you can get a +1 to your perception at I think it's level 3, which actually is normal. You could actually do that according to the core rules, but there's nothing that gives you, there's no goggles or anything in Pathfinder, in core Pathfinder, to give you +1 to your perception. So that's like the first thing people get. And the thing is, everyone was building it out of different monster parts. So one player had the goggles. Theirs were made out of it was like a spider, so it was like all caprices, caprese, yeah, caprese was like cheese. It was it was like carapaces. So he had carapace eyes and he had spider eyes, and then there was another one who got it out of like a slime, so they were wearing like goopy eyes, and so everyone had the same piece of gear, but everyone's was different and had a story behind it. And then imagine that for all your gear. So their weapons were all taken from monsters, their gear, their armor, and suddenly people are like, wow, there's this like, it's a whole other level of where you're literally building your gear up and changing it, and people just love it. Heck, I loved it, even as a GM, because I was like, wow, this is really exciting, because I'm picturing their head. I can see their characters wearing spider eyes, and he literally had a sword made from a mimic, so I had it constantly like changing shape in the middle of combat, like all this cool stuff. I mean,
that's very cool. It's very flavorful. I mean, because like I said, I mean, my stance on games is very different, I think, than a lot of people, which is I don't care if I have a perfectly mathematically balanced experience. I just want to have an experience. Yeah. Right. One that is going to be rememberable, and that's something that's going to stick with us in the long run. That when you see those, maybe you haven't seen those, those people for years, and then you get together and you start, having a drink, and then somebody says, "Oh, remember your mimic sword?" Yeah. Right. And someone goes, "Oh, that was crazy. Do you remember the time that it like turned into a sledgehammer right in the middle?" And it's like, yeah, and everyone starts telling, but it's like, because if you go, hey, do you remember that time I bought that vanilla +1 flaming sword from the merchant vendor? And yes. There was no story connection at all. I just bought it because it fit my build, because I thought the persistent damage of the flare was more consistent over the long run, because I watched some horrible video from Night's Last Call that talked about what damage elemental runes are the best ones, right? No one's going to remember that. No. They're going to go, no, I don't remember that one.
Well, that was the first product that Mark and I worked on was the magic item. It was my monster parts, because I always wanted to do that. And it's literally, now here's the funny thing from a game point of view, it's nothing but the runic system. In fact, if you really want, you can just throw out the monster parts, just take all our imbuements and just make them runes, because the math is exactly the same. There's no difference in the math. We just added flavor to it. And it's just like, and there's a lot more options. Like, for example, flaming for runes starts at level 8. But for ours, it starts at level 2, I think, or 4. And it goes up so you could start at level 2, and then 4, 6, 8, 10. So you keep going. So you don't have to wait till level 8 to get flaming. You get level 2, you can get flaming. And there's 3 subcategories. So you can have it magic, might, or I forgot the last one, technique. So you can have it either, so you can, everyone uses it, because there's only really 3 core classes. I know there's 4 core, but there's the might school, the magic, and the finesse. And so we have all 3 covered. And so everyone can do it. Everyone can use it, no matter who you are. So we wanted to make sure that it was, okay, the flaming rune is cool, but a wizard can't use a flaming rune. What do they need it for? Well, now they can. Now you can use it,
which is also very cool. Like for those characters to have that moment as well. So
so we added all that cool stuff. But yeah, that's the point. Is that you have a lot of cool flavor, which brings me back to Starfinder 2nd Edition. Because I'll tell you one thing, that game drips with flavor. Like, it is really flavorful, Starfinder. I mean, that's its secret sauce, is that the flavor and the weirdness and the goofiness is really strong in there. And the game was fine. Like, the game was good. It was a solid game. I mean, it's built on the bones of Pathfinder with some extra stuff. So I'm thinking, man, you got the Pathfinder 2 rules with the flavor of Starfinder. I'll probably be the next thing I want to play, actually, is a new Starfinder campaign.
Well, yeah, I don't know where I stand. I don't, I have a lot of games that I want to play this year, and they're games that are fairly new that I want to get to my table that I haven't had a chance to really dig into yet. For the Fabula Ultima, I finally want to run a Forbidden Lands game. For me, it's more of kind of like playing the games I already own, type of year. So, but I'm going to try to be, well,
that's the other problem. It's like, how are you going to play all these things? It's like, I don't even have enough time to play video games.
If I'm lucky, maybe I'll lose my job, and then I can just play.
Yeah, but you kind of need something to live
Yeah,
on.
you know, look, I make a little bit of money from my channel, you know.
Yeah, well, the problem is, you know, the funny thing is, like, there was a time where I wasn't working for about a year and a half, and I remember that, and I worked nonstop. So for me, it was like, oh my
Right.
God, I don't even know what to do with this time. And for the first 9 months, you know what I was doing? I was watching Star Trek every day
know?
and playing video games, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, when I wasn't working, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go live in the woods for 6 months and hike.
All right, you did that, but then, you know, it was 9 months, and then after 9 months, I was just like, ugh. And I was so bored. You know,
Yeah.
people
No,
retire.
I mean,
like, you know,
yeah.
almost everyone who retires ends up going back to work within a year or two or three, because it's just like, what else are you going to do? I mean, you can only
See, I have so many hobbies. I have so many things that I want to do. Like, I want to sail more. I want to woodwork more. I want to
but
play
to
more
me,
racquetball. Play more tennis.
well,
you
I
know?
thought I was going to play video games nonstop because that's what I was like. Oh my God, I love video games. I love video games. But here's the problem: is that without, you know, it's like it's out of context. Like, I like the video games because they're a release from work, but when you have nothing but doing nothing but goofing off,
Right.
you know, some people are built to do that, but I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, to me, the video games are the anti-work. But if I had nothing but video games, I mean, when I was on vacation, I was having a lot of fun. Got my Steam Deck. I was playing games all the time. I was just relaxing. But I also knew, like, you know, I don't get to do this. So to me, it was like time well spent.
Which I go back. I go back to work tomorrow. Unfortunately,
I came back to work yesterday. First thing I did is I woke up and I worked all day and all night because I had to get everything out by midnight. And then I worked today, and I call this work, kind of.
Oh yeah, it's working of a sort. So
work of a sort.
But I do have to end at 5. So
yes, that's
we should
fine.
wrap up.
I know. Didn't expect to go quite so long.
No, it does. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting year. You know, hopefully my I said this in my YouTube channel message for the new year. You know, 2023 had a lot of negativity. There was a lot of bad things that happened, and a lot of people were very upset about it. In many cases, rightfully so. But you know, I think as a community, I think we should be more excited about playing good games than we should be about being upset about bad companies. And, you know, at the end of the day, whether you have it on PDF or a dead tree version, you know, these games are yours. And, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what these companies do. They can't take them away from you. And even if your favorite game goes out of business or whatever, I promise you, there are many, 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 many games that are being made every year. We just listed like 3 potential blockbusters just in the last, 45 minutes. And, I mean, be willing to, risk your time, risk your experience, risk your play group, and try different things. And that's how you learn, and that's how you grow. So I think I'm, tentatively excited. A new edition of D&D is coming out, and I can't help but be excited about that. 5th edition wasn't my favorite edition, but it's D&D. Who am I to, I can't deny it's Siren's Call. But at the same time, tons of new, another challenger has entered the arena, right? And so I'm excited to give them a fair shake too and see what cool ideas that they have, because that's how we grow. That's how the hobby, changes. That's how the hobby gets better. So
yes, and I know you can't wait to try the Final Fantasy RPG.
Not Kickstarted. I pre-ordered it. I don't think you could kickstart it. I think it was like a pre-order. Is that right?
Yeah, that one could also be a sleeper hit. That
I have no idea what to expect from.
Yeah, I have no idea. That one could be all over the place, but it has a lot of lore, a lot of history, a lot of fans, a lot of people. I don't know if there's anyone behind it other than the Square Enix, but that could also be another. That could be an interesting one, because that could be one of those games that does better, like, in other parts of the world than the United States.
Right, that is very true. That is very true.
Yeah, that could be one of those, like, oh yeah, this game does great in Japan or Germany or somewhere else. Like, who knows, or like some other part, and then here it just says okay. But I mean, I still
want to get a long duration Avatar Legends campaign going, Stephen, because I love that game so much.
Avatar, the Airbender.
Yeah, the game we played at Origins.
No, I know which one. Really? Is that you think it works for long play?
Well, long play meaning like you know, 20 sessions, you know, 30 sessions.
Oh my God, 30 sessions. That's long.
I mean, 30 sessions is like, you know, 30 episodes of Avatar, which is like probably what, like a season or two?
You know what I would like to play is the One Piece RPG.
I don't know anything about One Piece other than that there's 10,000 episodes, and I have no desire to ever watch any of them.
Watch the watch the YouTube. Sorry, the Netflix show.
I don't have Netflix.
Well,
I'm
watch a Netflix show. I'm sure you have ways, but it is.
If I wanted to watch a Netflix show enough, I would give them my money.
So good. The world building of that game. That's actually that game. That's the secret of that. That's the secret of that franchise. It's not even the story. It's not even the characters. It's the world building, and the world building.
I know that the One Piece
stunning
TCG is doing fairly well.
Yeah. Everything does well. It's considered. It's one guy, and it's made something like it's $20 billion. It's like one guy. It makes Star Wars, puts Star Wars to shame. You know, it's like Star Wars is like, oh, it sold it for $4 billion. I'm like, this guy's made like 5 times that, and it's one person, and he does it all himself. And you think I work hard? This guy, he never stops because this is like all he does.
The 25 highest grossing media franchises.
I know, in history of the world.
All time. All right, 22nd place is James Bond at 19.9 billion.
Yes.
21st place, Lord of the Rings, as in the entire media franchise,
Everything
not just the
that's
movies,
ever
video games,
history,
posters.
yes.
19.9 billion.
Yes.
One Piece, 20.5 billion.
I was right.
Holy
20.
crap! Do you know what number one?
One guy.
You know what number one is?
Pokemon. Of course I know.
Wait, do you know what number 2 is?
Hello Kitty.
Ah, you're right. Hello Kitty.
I'm not even looking at it because I know the list.
I know. Number 3.
Number 3 is it's something. It's Chinese, I think. It's like
nope. It's American.
No, it's American. Well, Marvel and those are down on the list a little.
They are down on the list.
Yeah, they're down on the list. What's number 3?
It's animated.
What?
It's animated.
Animated American?
Yeah.
No way. What? Just tell me. I don't know.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, right. Actually, I did know that. I did.
Okay. Yeah, and then number 4 is Mickey and Disney.
Yeah.
And then Star Wars and Mario and Harry Potter and MCU and Spider-Man, Batman. Yep. But it's so crazy that One Piece has made more money than Lord of the Rings, James Bond, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Transformers.
Yep. And it's not even that old.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know. It's just one guy. It's really good. You know what? Well, this is what happened to me. Because when I heard about the Netflix show, I said to myself, you know what? I got to give this thing a shot. I got to see what this is all about. I got to try it. So I started to read it. I got the manga, and I was like, wow, this is good. I was like, this is very good. And the guy is very earnest, and he talks about, he shows sketches, and you could tell it's like a fan for fans, and it's just really just something about it. It just has that oomph. Like, though, you're like, wow, this is really interesting and really well done. Deep characters, fascinating world, and then it just keeps going, and then it goes in directions you don't expect, and then it just never stops, and it just builds and builds. I was like, oh my God, this is good.
Iron Chestnut says Oda, I guess that's the creator, has taken something like 3 weeks off from making One Piece in its entire 20-year run.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oda is a monster, and people are worried. And what made the Netflix show so good is that people were trying to do it, but then they were trying to turn it into something it's not, and he refused. He had that full creative control and make sure it was done exactly the way he wanted, and thank God he did, because he just watch the TV show. Not only is
if we did that, there's always been a thing about us doing something, Night's Last Call. A lot of our shows have like a night theme, like we call it the late night show, or there's always been a talk of us doing. I
watch with you. It's so good.
Of us doing movie nights.
It's so good.
And Bob from our show, he loves One Piece, like the manga, the anime, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I saw somebody in chat say like,
the manga's okay. I mean, the anime's okay.
You guys should watch it as part of your movie night, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, The casting is perfect. Like, I can't believe how good the casting is. The set designs are practical and beautiful, and the fight scenes are some of the best fight scenes I've seen in years. Like, I was actually stunned how good the fight scenes are. And my favorite character, Zero, is that guy carries 3 swords, 3 swords, and the first thing, Monkey says is, "What do you do with the 3rd sword?" And he throughout, like, it takes a while, but he pulls out the swords, and then eventually he takes that when it's like a real fight. He takes out the 3rd sword and puts it in his mouth, and then he goes, "Huh? So that's where the 3rd sword goes."
So stupid.
It is so stupid, and it is so genius. And
Yes,
it's impressive. It takes a lot to impress me, and I was very impressed with.
Right, well,
I can see why it's. I put it this way.
There you go.
See why I made $20 billion.
There you go. So One Piece RPG would be the new champion, right?
That would be that would take over. Is there one? There is a One Piece. Let's see, RPG. Well, there's the games, the Steam games and stuff, but
no, I mean like a tabletop.
I know. Yeah. Well, here it says. Well, it's just say One Piece Odyssey is a good anime, but a meh. Well, that's a JRPG. Yeah, the problem is the JRPGs are a whole thing, but
nope. Does not look like there's an official. There you go. Based on this media franchise, you know what also probably would do absolutely disgusting. A official Harry Potter TTRPG.
Yeah, that would do beyond disgusting, more than you think. So I have a friend of mine who owns one of the, like, a comic book store. Like, he does magic mostly. They sell vinyl pops, and he's actually one of the biggest stores in America, individually owned. And I always talk to him. I'm like, what sells? And he's like, and he'll be like, oh yeah, Star Wars, all none of that stuff sells. I'm like, well, what sells? It's like Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Always sells. I'm like, really? He goes, yep. Sells great. Harry Potter always sells. And I'm like, yeah, man. You know why? It's genius, because in the marketing for that, they're books. They're for kids. So you always have new people.
New blood.
And these kids are buying toys and product. Right. And therefore it's a self-perpetuating machine.
Right. And also, and I say this as someone who loves Harry Potter series. After you read it and you go, wow, Harry Potter is so cool, but man, I could write a better story than this because this is not particularly well written. And then you're like, oh, the RPG lets me do this. I am a Harry Potter fan, but I don't think the story is particularly good. But I think the world is really awesome, and I think the idea of the Harry Potter universe is pretty compelling. The Wizarding World.
Yeah, I love the books, except for I worked on the website for Harry Potter for Scholastic. So, and I
actively disliked the last book. I think
that's what I'm going to say. It's like the 7th book is kind of a little weak.
Deathly Hallows is the weakest one.
Yeah, but book 3 and 4, oof.
Well, 4 was my favorite for a very long time.
Oh,
and then
those 2 are really good.
Yeah, 4 is really good, and
really good
3 is really good too. But
They're
like 1 and 2 are cute, and I like them.
Well, the problem is 1 and 2 is they were still kids' books.
Yeah, but
and they're thin and they're small, and then it took off, and then she's like, "Oh, right, okay, now I can really go hog wild." And then that was 3.
Yes,
and then 4 is the
turning point.
The turning point. I was trying to think of the terminology. That's the turning point, and the turning point's always the best. It's always the middle. And I was like, that's the Empire Strikes Back. That's the 4th book. It's like that's where things get serious, man.
That is true. And
that's
then things. But then the problem, and Lollipop says, didn't I have to go 8 minutes ago? I do have to go. But I was going to say is like, the thing is even after it turns, book 5, and now Voldemort's back. Spoiler. But like book 5. It's
pronounced Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Not Voldemort.
But even in book 5, they're still fundamentally kids at school. Right. And they're trying to do. Right. And in book 6, they're still fundamentally kids at school, which is great. Harry's going on these little micro adventures with, Dumbledore. but book 7 takes them out of the school.
I know.
And
As soon as
that's why
I knew it was gonna fail once I read it. I was like, because then they mess up the formula.
Yeah. In fact, something that personally bothers me, if you look on the side of your Harry Potter book, it'll say, they don't call them book 1, book 2, book 3. They call them year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And the 7th book is called year 7. And I go, it's not their 7th year at Hogwarts. They weren't there at Hogwarts. And that was very disappointing to me, because what I liked was teen wizard adventures at their wizard school. Like, that's what was Harry Potter to me. I didn't care about this global political war. Anyways, I gotta go. So 2024, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to Roll for Combat. If you haven't bought some of their books, you should definitely check them out, because I do think that some of them are among, I mean, again, we sent you that quote, Stephen, where it's Roll for Combat PF2 is better than PF2 PF2s.
A lot of people agree.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of good. I mean, if you like that Pathfinder 2nd edition game engine, there's just some of the best made stuff is in 5e. In 5e. In fact, actually, if you remember, we gave that 4.5 eggplant emojis because we thought that the 5e bestiary was even better in a way, because of how bad most 5e bestiaries are.
It's like you win by losing.
Yeah. Everybody else is so bad that yours seems great by comparison. But no, it was literally, it was pretty good. So it was great. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for me. Yes,
that was a long stream, and maybe we'll come in and do some more quests of the quest calendar.
Tack is ready.
Tack. Well, every week you play a different character. You should do this with me every day. No. Every day you come on the stream with me for 10 minutes. I have to go back to work. Well, that's why I said we pre-record it.
Oh my god!
And we come we go after Critical Role.
I gotta run before
pre-recorded lovely writers of Wrenwood with
three times a week. Three times a week you get, like, that's the new RPG. Instead of like these really long things, they're like micro episodes, right? Like each episode is just like 5 minutes long, right? It asks very little of you, and it's just like each episode is like one check or like one moment in the game.
That's what it was. It was 3 checks.
Yeah.
So the entire adventure was a little talk, 3 checks, you're done.
All right. I do got to go. So.
All right. See you guys, and we'll be back real quick Wednesday, regular stream, and Justin Alexander will be on. We'll talk about this book.
You should definitely watch. That guy knows his shit.
Yeah, that guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.